And welcome to the Krug Show, everybody. Larry Kruger, Kevin Kruger joining us tonight on the Krug Show. Wednesday night, busy day down in Santa Clara. We're down there. We'll report back on what we talked about. Some very interesting stuff as the Niners get ready for the Rams. Kev, good to see you, man. And, of course, before we get rolling, we should thank everybody before we start our show. Of course, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Of course, we're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass. They are one of our sponsors as well. MarinAutoGlass.com. There you go, bottom of the screen. 415-883-3030. New York-style Italian sausage as well. But before we start the episode and get into some Niner football talk, we're going to do some video calls. We're gonna max it out at about 3 to 5 minutes per call. But we definitely want to take some of your video calls, and I'll be putting the video link in the chat here momentarily. But before we get rolling, I just want to remind everybody that they should check the top link in the description. It's titled Krug Show Links, and that will open our link tree, which has all the important platforms. You can check out the show is now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube. Also, you can catch our stuff on TikTok. Of course, the merch store is part of YouTube as well, and our fantasy sponsors. So if you need to find anything Krug Show related, it should be in that link in the description right there. Look at that. We're all official now. Kev, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, everyone should check out that link tree. It's everything's organized into one nice little link right there. If you want to watch the TikTok, if you want to watch the Instagram, we're popping on the Instagram lately.
Have we?
And obviously YouTube. And then the new thing I've been spending my last entire week setting up is the audio podcast. We lost our old audio podcast because of something with Spotify, and like they changed their platform. I don't know. It's complicated, but now we're back on Spotify. We're back on Apple Podcasts. It would really help us if you guys dropped a rating or left a review positively, hopefully, of the podcast on the
just don't rip. And definitely don't rip Kev.
Yeah, definitely don't rip me. And if you want to tell us what we're doing wrong, maybe just text me. Just text me.
Just whisper it quietly off to the side.
Yeah, don't put it in the reviews. Don't put it in the reviews. Come on. Oh, and also we're gonna run our little Mojo promo right now. And this is for the Thursday night games, right? It's the Vikings,
Eagles Thursday night tilt, and here are my Mojo picks for the week. Is that what we're doing here, right here, Kev? Are you going to fire it? Fire away the Mojo picks. All right, the sponsor of today's show is Mojo Fantasy. That's right. Mojo Fantasy has introduced a whole new way to play fantasy football this season. It works by entering into contests and building a portfolio of players, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. It is that simple. The props you pick act like stocks, and you can buy and sell player stocks live all game long. You can cash in on a hot start or just hang on and let them ride. That's it. Make picks, make moves, make money. And this week I'm entering into a contest with a number of players in the Vikings-Eagles matchup. All right, I'm going Jordan Addison with an anytime touchdown. I think the rookie is a really, really good player early in the year. A.J. Brown, I think, is a big night. Big physical receiver for the Eagles. I have over 5.5 receptions for A.J. Brown. That means he has to have 6. Justin Jefferson with an anytime touchdown, probably the best receiver in football. And then I went with Jefferson over 7.5 receptions. I think win or lose, the Vikings should be able to throw it around a little bit in this football game. To play Mojo Fantasy alongside me, check the link in the description, use the promo code Krug, and get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. All right, coming up next, the Krug Show. Stick around. Cut earlier tonight in a studio nearby.
Looks identical to the one you're in.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how I could make these studios look almost identical. Not quite, but almost identical. Different lighting earlier in the day. All right, Kev, we're gonna put in the chat the link, the call link, and we'll take video calls. It's our video call night.
Yeah, the Larry video calls.
This is actually the show that I look forward to the most, right? This is when you and I mean, it's one thing to talk to Lombardi or Grant.
Lombardi's great, though. I love that. I love that
They're
show.
all great. Everybody's great. Everybody's great. Barrows. We do a lot of stuff. Vish.
You should talk to Barrows.
Jesse. What's that?
You should talk to Barrows soon. You haven't talked to him in a while.
Okay. I'll write that down. Matt Barrows, if you're out there. Kev said, come hunting for Matt Barrows tomorrow at camp. And when I come up to you, just say, hey, I saw it already on the Krug show. Kev has shot me out. But no, we have a lot of different people on the show. But we're going to take some calls. And before we take calls, and we love the calls. To me, the video calls are kind of the most fun thing. Teasy, though, says we only want Johnny. That is so awesome. And before we get rolling here, we do have a super chat already from a man who is one of our newest sponsors, and we're going to tell you all about Jurens and what they're doing, and have some incredible stuff coming from Jurens here starting on the 15th, which is 2 days away. But James Juren drops 20 spot, says this week the Niners went from plus 1,000 to plus 650 to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Niners are number one right now. You look at all the ESPN power rankings, NFL.com power rankings. I heard Peter King with Willard and Dibbs this afternoon on 95.7 The Game. He's saying the Niners are the best. Coming out of week one, the Niners are the best team in football, seems to be the consistent drumbeat, which is hilarious because it shows how I don't want to say we overreact because the Niners look really good, and the Niners are really good, but it's a what have you done for me lately world. And if whoever looked good in week one at the top between the Niners, Eagles, and Chiefs was going to be considered the top dog. The Niners look good on the road. The Chiefs lost to Detroit. The Eagles got by the Patriots, but nothing more than got by, even though Jalen Carter did look ridiculously good. But we'll get into that. The Niners are the proverbial pick. So we'll get into the Niners. We're going to mailbag full of questions that we're going to go with, topics that we're going to hit. And then we will put the link in the description and take the video calls. In fact, should we? Yeah, I'll wait.
I'll wait
it
right now.
Yeah.
No, just drop it right now, and they can sit in the back.
Okay.
If they want to get early jump.
So there we go. We've just put the link in the description. I believe it's there.
Yeah. Let me pin it to the chat real quick.
So there we go. So we have that link in the description. We'll take your video calls. But Johnny C has become just absolutely, just almost a star unto himself. I mean, he's got people who are coming up to me. I want more Johnny C. So, Kev, should we play the Johnny C right off the rip?
No,
here?
We'll wait until the calls begin. And then we'll play it then we'll go Johnny an inaugural thing, just starting it off,
There we go.
Yeah.
But Kev did a great edit and cut job of Johnny C's last call to us, and we'll play that coming up in a bit. Fozzie's already hanging out in the green room. Fozzie, good to see you. But Kev, fire away with Niner issue.
Yeah, let's do it.
Question number one. No softballs. Bringing it hard. No, what do you got?
So yeah, I titled the stream Rams 49ers week. It's the 49ers facing off against the Rams in LA.
A lot of Niner fans will be in the house.
Yeah, it's gonna be almost a home game, which is nice. The Niners, not to get off track, but the Niners last year, they had one of the easiest schedules because they had home games in SoFi and they had home games in Mexico. Or they had a home game in Mexico.
Seriously, 88% of the crowd in Mexico City were not rooting for the Cardinals.
Yeah. The first home game against the Rams was mostly Niners fans from what I've heard. And then that playoff game, Matthew Stafford's wife was pushing for all the Rams fans to get in there. So it was a little bit more even, or maybe that was 2 years ago. I can't remember. But, so the Rams won last week against the Seahawks 30-17. They had 426 yards, 27 first downs. Puka Nacua had 10 catches for 119. Tutu Atwell had 199 yards on 6 catches, or maybe that's 119 yards.
119.
Yeah, 119 yards.
For Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell,
maybe the fastest guy in the game right now.
Yeah, from Louisville. So the offense was humming. They also had 1 3-and-out against the Seahawks and dominated the time of possession 39-23. And they held Geno and the Seahawks to 112 yards on 26 attempts passing, 4.3 yards per attempt. How do you think this game shapes up? I mean, they're 8.5 point to 8 favorites, depending where you get the line. Basically, what's your feel on the game so far?
Well, okay. I mean, one, the Rams are a team that you wanted to play late in the year. If you're going to play, I mean, it's a division game, so the Niners are probably going to play them early and late. Or are they not? Are they going to play them early and mid here? When's the second Ram game? But either way, you didn't want to play the Rams early. Why? Because the Rams are a young team, a lot of unknowns, veteran quarterback. They're really, really, really thin. By the time we get to November or December, I think they're going to be kind of easy pickings, to be honest. But right now, I mean, theoretically, they should be healthy. Now, they aren't fully healthy because Cooper Kupp is not in there. But they're an interesting team. I mean, McVay is a very good football coach. Let's just say that. He is a phenomenal coach. He knows when he's got, big-time weapons, and he knows how to play when he doesn't. And right now, he doesn't. So what did they do last week? They ran it 40 times against Seattle. They didn't run it with a lot of success. They only averaged 2.9 a carry. But they ran it a ton with Kyron Williams and Cam Akers, and they just kept the ball away from Seattle. And they played ball control. And what they're doing is Stafford is converting, and Stafford has guys that he is in lockstep with. He knows Higbee well. He's got a good rapport with Bryce Hopkins. And then, of course, they got a rookie named Puka Nacua who played at BYU, who's, terrific route runner. They gave him 15 targets last week, and he caught 10 balls for 119 yards. I mean, he was impressive. And he was their 5th-round pick. And then Tutu Atwell is in the slot. His dad played at University of Minnesota. His dad was a burner. He's more of a burner. I mean, this guy is like top shelf gone. This might be one of the fastest guys in pro football. Now, he weighs nothing. He's like 166 pounds. And if you hit him one good time, he's probably out for the year. But right now, he's healthy and rolling, and he's fast. Big time fast. And then Skoranek is very dependable. So what's happening here is they're running it a lot on first and second down. They're getting into third and manageable. And then where Stafford came alive is he converted on third down. So that they're going to have to try to get them behind the sticks and really win third down. The Rams have a little bit of an improved offensive line. They brought in Steve Avila in the second round from TCU, and he's a freaking house. He's at left guard. I mean, he's a really, really nice player. Big, wide-body left guard. But the rest of their line, Havenstein's not bad at right tackle, but the left tackle is Alaric Jackson, Shelton Coleman, Joe Notaboom. I mean, the Niner defensive line should win up front, and I think that's where the Niners are going to win this game. On the defensive side, you still have Aaron Donald. And, Donald is also early in the year. The rest of this line, I'm not a huge fan of. Nick Hampton from App State, the rookie 5th-round pick, is a good edge rusher. Byron Young, the 3rd-round pick out of Tennessee, is another really good edge rusher. So those two guys can burn at the quarterback, and they've got tremendous speed. And obviously you got Donald up front. And then on the back end, I mean, all you need to know about their secondary is Ahkello Witherspoon is their number 1 corner. So it's Witherspoon, the 6th-round pick out of Georgia, Darion Kendrick, who doesn't have great deep speed. And then there's Kobe Durant, who's a 4th-round pick, Duke Shelley, who the Raiders just cut, and then Trey Tomlinson, who was their 6th-round pick this year. So they don't have big-time guys on the corners, and I think the Niners receivers should be able to get open all day.
Yeah, I mean, the one place I see the Niners struggling is that interior against what am I trying to say?
Donald.
Yeah.
It's funny. I talked to Brendel this week too,
yeah.
And he was like, Aaron Donald. I mean, it's just he's like, the thing that he said that was interesting today about Aaron Donald when I was talking to Brendel at his locker was just that Donald is such a unique guy to block because he's small, but incredibly strong and incredibly fast.
Yeah.
So think about that. He doesn't give you a big target, and he's super fast and super strong.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy motor.
I think this sets up a lot like last week where you had TJ Watt coming off the edge and the talk all week was, how's TJ Watt going to go against McKivitz? And he, in my mind, he dominated McKivitz for a lot of the plays, but it didn't really matter. They still got 5 yards of carry. I think I keep trying to say Darnold instead of Donald. I think Donald has a chance to really, blow up that interior depending on who he goes against, whether it's Burford.
But the Niners have done a great job against Donald. I mean, Brunskill did a great job against Donald. They fool Donald. They get him going in different directions. They've had as good a game plan recently against Aaron Donald. If I was Chris Forster, I wouldn't dare ask Forster, what is your guy's secret to Aaron Donald? Because he would just scoff at that so fast. But the Niners do have some track record recently of neutralizing Donald. Let's just say that. Brian says everyone loves them some Krug. Larry, you're lazy. You're lazy, Larry. That's Brian. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Anyway, should we get another topic or two, or should we hit the video calls?
No. Let's go here. You did a video earlier this week about a quarterback they worked out. They also worked out 3 receivers. Now, I don't know who these receivers are.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at the note you sent me of the guys, and I cannot read your handwriting. But who are those guys? Because I really don't know who they are.
Well, the 49ers today worked out, or I said yesterday worked out Ian Book, the former quarterback at Notre Dame, who was a 4th-round pick of the Saints, who was in camp this summer with the Eagles, which to me is one of the main points of interest with this player. I mean, he's a nice, athletic, great kid. I think very highly of Ian Book, but he doesn't have a big-time NFL arm. He's smallish for sure, but he's smart, he's athletic, he's mobile. He's got a lot of the same traits that Brock Purdy has, to be honest, but probably not as strong a body or as big an arm. He doesn't throw with the same base that Purdy does. But Book's interesting, and he's out there, and the Eagles cut him, and I'd love to get some intel on the Eagles if I were Kyle Shanahan, and putting him on your practice squad probably would be smart. Now, Aaron Wilson reported this. He also said that the Niners worked out 3 wide receivers, Dan Chisena, Marcus Kemp, and Freddie Swain. I don't know tons about Chisena. He's a 26-year-old guy who played his college ball at Penn State. He got cut by the Steelers prior to the regular season. He spent 3 years with Minnesota. He's a special teamer. And the Niners, this could be the answer, a part answer at least, to their disaster kickoff coverage in week 1. Their kickoff coverage was really, really questionable. And maybe that's the thinking here. And if it is, maybe this is their guy because this guy's got special team experience. Kemp is interesting. He's a big-bodied receiver who was with the Chiefs, 6'4", released by Washington. Not a burner, though, 4'5", 57 games with the Chiefs. He's played in the NFL since 2017, and he's done a lot of stuff on special teams. The guy, though, on this list I do like is Freddie Swain, who played at Florida. It was a 6th-round pick by the Seahawks in 2020. And he was with the Eagles before the final preseason game, but he didn't make their 53-man roster. And then he was released by the Seahawks after 2022 training camp, and then briefly he was with Denver and Miami. And he's moved around a little bit. But I like Freddie Swain. I watched him at Florida, and I was a big fan of his in the draft coming out. He's got good size and good speed. He's 6 feet, about 200 pounds. He's a good route runner. He ran 4.46 coming out of Florida. 36.5-inch vert. That's really good. 16 bench press reps. That's fine. But I love the way he plays. This guy knows how to play. He's got good hands. He was a 2-time All-State pick in high school out of Florida. Gators loved him as a freshman. And he had a good college career. And he's a little bit of a height, weight, speed guy that hasn't really found his way to becoming the player that he can become. But I like him. I really do. He's got good hands. And he can run. I mean, when you've got good hands and you can run, that's a good combination right there. And to me, when you saw him come out of Florida, he had some drift and some coast, in and out of the breaks and that kind of thing. He wasn't real crisp. He's way more crisp now. I saw him in the preseason. He also didn't do a great job at really fighting for balls early in his career. Now this guy is much more aggressive at the catch point. So That's the guy that interests me, man. Freddie Swain. Now they're loaded at receiver. They got Debo and Ayuk and Jawan and Danny Gray's getting healthy, and they got a bunch of guys on the practice squad. Willie Snead. They got Tay Martin. I mean, they got receivers everywhere. But man, Freddie Swain is nice. I'd take a look at Freddie Swain.
Now, one thing I forgot to mention, that's my bad, is that Ian Book did get signed today by the Patriots.
He did? Okay.
Yeah. And he was going to work out with them.
That was the Niners. So the Niners worked him out yesterday, and it was probably one of those deals. If they wanted him, he wouldn't have gone on to the workout for New England today.
Now, one of the things that was brought up,
good for him though. He's a good kid too. Oak Ridge High School in El Dorado Hills. I've had him on the show before. He was a 2-time captain at Notre Dame. He was 30-5. That's a nice little pickup by the Pats.
One of the other things that was brought up about that is, does this mean that Sam Darnold could be traded? I was listening to Matt Barrows today on with Lombardi on their podcast on The Athletic, and Barrows was speculating that he thinks that Brandon Allen would get dealt if anyone was going to get dealt. He thinks that there's more value there for some reason.
Because Brandon Allen is on a very reasonable third quarterback contract. That would be really attractive when you look at his cost and his experience. I think that's what Barrows is talking about.
Yeah. Another piece of news that came out today was about Brandon Ayuk and CMC. Brandon Ayuk was named the Offensive Player of the Week. And then I think CMC was named like the FedEx Ground Player of the Week. So I forget exactly what the title is, but he won like the Ground Player of the Week, basically the running back of the week. One thing that I thought about when I heard those two names is those two guys were consistently brought up throughout camp all of the summer. CMC, I remember from the very first practice was like, wow, look at this guy. This guy is going 110%. Yeah, since minicamp.
He was the guy who set the tone at minicamp for how hard the Niners were going to play.
Yeah. And then Brandon Ayuk through the entire summer is like, look at this guy. He's making catches. He's running routes crazy, all this stuff. Do you think that has any does that help them start what am I trying to say here? Does that help them get to
Spit it out. Spit it out.
Does that help them get off the ground running, drop, you know what I'm trying to say?
I don't.
Intensity in practice translate to the first game? Is that how that usually works?
Well, it's the way you played high school football. You know the way it works. It's like you get better or worse in the off season by how hard you work, how many weights you lift, how many drills you do, how much bigger, stronger, and faster can you get. Get bigger and stronger, but gain quickness and muscle and lose body fat. I mean, it's all about if you're a more explosive athlete, you're going to be a better whatever, running back, wide receiver, defensive lineman, right? It's all about conditioning. So the one thing that was really clear in minicamp was that McCaffrey was like, dude, on a totally different level than everybody else. I mean, just playing a million miles an hour. It was like noticeable. Super noticeable. And then the other thing that's been noticeable this entire offseason is that Ayuk is going to the moon, man. Ayuk is going to have his career year. Debo's in awesome shape too. And I just think that what you're seeing right out of the chute in week one is that the Niners have three of their primary weapons in Debo, CMC, and Ayuk that are all in career year type condition. Now, who knows if they're going to have career years, but they've put themselves in position to have big, big years. And man, Ayuk and CMC were impressive in week one, weren't they?
I mean, that's the best game I've seen from Brandon Ayuk, I think, ever, right? I mean, that catch he made against Patrick Peterson in the end zone, second touchdown catch. I mean,
he was covered.
Great ball by Purdy, but great catch, being covered like that. I mean, and the route he ran in the first route, I mean, that was amazing.
The thing that stands out about Ayuk is the catch radius.
Yeah,
and you saw it a little bit in this game.
Wrong.
I mean, we saw it all summer in camp. You throw it to the side, and he's got to make some Herculean effort to dive back for it. He'll do that. If you're going to throw it on the surface, and he's got to go real low, he'll do that. If you throw that thing literally 8, 9, 10 feet in the air, he's going to go sky for it. I mean, he attacks the football. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, out of college, I was not a big fan of him just because when I saw the number of the 40 time he ran, I think he ran like a 4.6 or something like that. But I didn't know that he ran that with like some abdominal injury at the time. But if you just look at him at his stature, his arms are ridiculously long. I think he has like a 7-foot wingspan or something crazy, or maybe not 7 foot, but it's like significantly.
He's got really long arms. So like Ayuk plays, he's like 6'1" and change. He plays like a 6'3", 6'4" receiver for sure.
But he moves like
he's incredibly strong. He has no flinch at all across the middle. The guy's in great shape. He's not afraid of getting starched. He's a big-bodied guy at the catch point. He plays bigger. His catch radius is monster. And right now, I think you're going to see a special year. Why? Because when you get a quarterback that's as accurate as Purdy is and a receiver who's got a catch radius as big as Ayuk's, I mean, these guys are almost going to be impossible to stop throughout the year. I mean, it's just and Purdy just needs to put it in the vicinity of Ayuk, and Ayuk's going to make the catch, and yet Purdy's the guy that puts it right on your hands. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of success between those two guys this year.
Yeah. And Ayuk's not a rookie anymore. He's not even a second year anymore. This is his third or fourth year? I can't remember. But, he's realized that the extension's coming up. He has to make money. This is his time. I mean, the NFL is a short game. You do not play in the NFL for years and years and years, unless you're really lucky. He probably knows now. He's probably realized it's like your junior year of college. You realize college is almost over. So you better make the bbest of it. He's like, I'm in my third or fourth year. I need to get paid. So he's put his head down.
Well, he's getting paid. I mean, he's getting paid. Yeah. I mean, what it's about is just it's all tied together. I mean, he's gonna get
this
paid.
year, this year he can go from a good receiver to a great receiver. You know,
right?
Like, this is the year
you're
right.
He can take it to a different level.
2 to 1 to 1. You can go to 1 this year.
Well, who are the best receivers in the game? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp,
Tyreek Hill.
Hill. I mean, AJ Brown's up there.
Devontae.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good receivers out there, but I mean, he can be as good as any of them. I mean, he's got that kind of,
athleticism,
athleticism, but he's like what I would call, I mean, every year of an athlete's career, you either have a guy who's young or in his prime or past his prime. But in that prime is also, within that category is also usually 1 year of what we'd call the super prime. And the super prime is like, that's your year or like your year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry had like 8 of them, but you know what I'm saying? Like your year, like where you're going off and you're going to have the biggest year of your career. Like Flacco before he got the big contract, or just, your big year. And I think like with the Niners, Greenlaw and Warner on defense for sure, and Ayuk and Debo on offense for sure. They're all in what I would call the super prime. And they look like they're going to have monster years. So week 1 was an exciting thing for 49er fans to watch. I thought it was interesting today when Kyle Shanahan was asked about, hey, do you have to like bring your team down when they're up and they're rolling like that? And he's like, no, the film kind of does that for you. And he was critical of, the way they played at the end of the second quarter. The execution there in the second quarter wasn't good. And he pointed to a few things that stood out on film. Obviously, the kickoff returns. Obviously, all the pressure on the quarterback. Some of the problems they had. And I'm sure there was lots of problems across the board. But, it's a good spot to be in, right? They won on the road and probably now can correct things. They should be way too much for the Rams, you would think. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you that for the last question was, they are an 8.5 point road favorite.
Right.
The Sharps, believe that you take that number with the Rams coming off a win at home in a divisional game. It kind of sets up for a letdown spot. I don't think the Niners are going to lose this game. But if they were to lose this game, what would be the reason?
What the Rams are doing is they're going to dominate time of possession. So they're going to sell out to their thoroughly mediocre run game on first and second down, and they're going to run it a lot. And if they have any success, they're going to keep running it. So like last week, the run defense looked good. But in reality, the Steelers got behind. They ditched the run, and they only ran 10 times the whole game. The Rams are going to run it more at the Niners. So the run D is going to have to be real and shut down their rushing attack. Then it's going to get to 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 8 in that range. And then it's going to be about Stafford and the ability for Stafford, the veteran who's really talented, to play pitch and catch with Puka Nacua, who had 15 targets this week and 10 catches and runs really good routes and he's so young he doesn't realize what he should be afraid of. And then Tutu Atwell in the slot is a burner, and they're going to try to feature those two guys. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The Niners' job on defense is to try to make them fall behind the sticks, take away the run game altogether, put some points on the board, make them one-dimensional, and tee off on Stafford. And they probably are going to have a lot of success doing it. But if the Rams run it at the Niners with success, they're going to shorten the game. And sometimes these teams like Atlanta did last year, the teams that are worse than the Niners that beat them dominate the time of possession and win the turnover battle. And that's how the Rams win. They're gonna lean on Stafford on 3rd down. He converted a ton last week. Go look at the numbers. Was it like 11 of 17?
They had like
11 for 17. Downs. Yeah, 21 first downs. And they have
actually.
Really? And then Avila, their new guard from TCU, is a house, so he's a little bit more of a tough run blocker. And then you've got Aaron Donald and 2 really fast, Nick Hampton from App State and, the guy who played at Tennessee. What was it, Byron Jones at linebacker. Yeah. Those 2 guys can fly. So you want to make sure that you're not, those 2 guys can fly at the quarterback. So those 2 guys and Aaron Donald on defense. But I think the Niners, should be able to block their front, and then I think Purdy's going to be able to pick apart their secondary. Kobe Durant, Darion Kendrick, Jordan Fuller, Russ Yeast, and Akella Witherspoon. I think are going to have a bad day.
It's the Witherspoon.
I think those guys are going to have a bad day. Byron Young, I was talking about before. I called him Jones. Byron Young, who played at Tennessee. There was 2 Byron Youngs in this last draft.
Oh, this is the kid tackle?
Well, the defensive tackle went to the Raiders. The outside back pass rusher went to the Rams, and he's a terrific prospect. And he had 2 sacks, I believe, in week 1. So you got him, and you've got Nick Hampton from Appalachian State. Both those guys come flying off the edge. And then Donald is maybe the greatest defensive tackle the league's ever seen. And Brendel said what makes him so hard to block is that he's so small, and yet he's so strong and so fast. The combination, you don't have a big target, and he goes right by you. So that's going to be the challenge.
No, it's funny that you say that, because I have this written down in my notes too, is that the Rams like to play and they like to dominate the time of possession. And that's exactly what the Niners did last game against the Steelers. They were 37 minutes to 20 minutes. But the Rams did one up them. They went 39 for 23. So 39 minutes time of possession to the 23 of the Seahawks. So
they ran for 92 yards, but they only ran for 2.3 yards per carry, but they ran it 40 times. And then
I was about to
because they ran it so much, Seattle only had 46 offensive snaps. Yeah. And then in the second half of the game, Seattle couldn't do anything offensively. And then give the Rams credit. In the second half, they went touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, field goal. And Puka Nacua is young, and he's a 6'2" receiver who's, 15 targets, 10 receptions, and then Tutu Atwell is an absolute burner. You got to take good angles on him. You can't give him the quick 6 because he can score. So, the Niners luck out because they get the Rams without Cooper Kupp, but the Rams have kind of nothing to lose, and it should be a Niner blowout, but it's a division game, and I could see it being close, at least for a half.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to take Niners with the spread here, but I think they'll win for sure.
We got this one in the chat. Smitty says, blowout, Larry. Look at that. One game at Heinz Field, and suddenly people, you never know. Maybe people are feeling good.
That's what Purdy's been doing since he got here. He's been blowing people out, so you never know.
Mark Graves in the house, member for 14 months. Look at that. It says 49ers 30, Rams 10. Great content, Larry and Kev.
I don't even know if
up,
I've been a member for 14 months. That's a lot of months.
Seriously, that's a lot of months. Mark was here before you. He believed before you believed. He's like, Dad, I don't believe now. All right. You got one or two more Niners?
Why don't we
just MF, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Say what? I was going to say, why don't we just go straight into the calls, but let's mention our sponsors, and then everyone that's waiting in the room, or if you want to join the room, click the link. And then if you're waiting in the room, turn your camera on. We have a new rule. You have to have your camera on if we're going to add you to stream, just for safety reasons.
Yeah, we got to have your camera on before we can add you to the stream. That's the rule. But we are going to get into the video calls here momentarily, but we have one more super chat here from Calba Camiga. Says, "Hi guys, fantasy question. I've got 4 wide receivers and I can only play 3." No, he says, if Aaron Jones is healthy, do you play him at Atlanta or Joe Mixon at home against Baltimore? Go Niners. Well, what do you think? I mean, Cincinnati's going to bounce back, you would think. But the Ravens, you never know about the Ravens. Aaron Jones, I mean Green Bay looks good right now.
Game. Yeah. Well, my question is, I know that Aaron Jones hurt his hamstring like in some capacity during that game. He was limping. I'm not sure if he's cleared or what the deal is there. Obviously, if he's hurt,
I would go with Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
I like Green Bay, and you got to remember this. They got a young quarterback. Aaron Jones is the safety valve. He's there. McCaffrey, they're going to dump it to him in the flat at least 3-4 times a game if they're smart. And they're not that deep with their weapons. Sports fan says
good D.
Sports fan says, love the call-in show. Where's Johnny C? All right, are we going to play the Johnny C before we go to the calls?
Let's go sponsors, then we'll mention.
Okay, first let's mention our sponsors. We're brought to you by MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. You need a new windshield, go see my man Saeed at Marin Auto Glass. They're a great company. They'll take your windshield away. They'll glaze in a new one. They'll sweep away the glass. You cannot beat MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030. We're also brought to you by New York Style Italian Sausage. The only kind of sausage that I will eat is New York Style sausage because Pasquale said so.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you
thanks to New York Style Italian Sausage. And also, of course, Pig in the Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out. 2 locations, Emeryville, Corte Madera. Great barbecue. If you love great barbecue, you're going to love Pig in a Pickle. Best barbecue in NorCal. Get the brisket. Oh, my God, the brisket's amazing. The pulled pork is amazing. If you're out in Marin County, they have the potato chips cooked in the beef fat with the barbecue chicken rub on them. It's just unbelievable potato chip, maybe the greatest chip of all time. But get the brisket chili if you are in Marin. But yeah, Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find. And also, we are brought to you, Kev, by Underdog Fantasy. Do you have anything you want to say, Kev? You seem a little frozen.
No, I'm good. Also, Mojo Fantasy. Mojo Fantasy is a sponsor of today's show. Check them out. We know some of the people at Mojo. So it's a brand new fantasy app. So if you guys like it, shoot me or my dad a message. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, and we can tell them. It's a pretty fun game. It's like the stock market, but for sports, for fantasy. It's pretty fun. It's pretty interactive. It makes you kind of be more engaged with your fantasy trades, I guess, like trading stocks during the game. It's pretty fun competition. But here is a special video to start off our video calls. We only have 3 people in the waiting room, and I know there was more people in there before. So if you guys want to join in, feel free.
I'll put the link back in the chat as well.
The links. It's pinned. It's pinned, so people can get it.
Okay, so they can get it.
Yeah, but here is our inaugural video.
Let's go to Johnny C.
Let me try, Larry. Okay, so Larry, here's the deal. Larry, honestly, Larry. No, but Larry, I gripe here though, Larry. Larry.
And now
Larry. I mean, Larry, but here's the thing, Larry.
What do you think?
I think they're going to sign Jason Peters.
How old is he?
He's
What?
he's 40, but and Larry,
Washington.
Larry. I mean, Larry. I wish I could, Larry.
Johnny, we're gonna have to jump. That was
yeah,
awesome.
That was a good one.
Johnny C.
That was a good one.
Oh,
I hope Johnny C joins again.
Johnny C, if you're in the house, we'll do the shout out for Johnny C.
All right.
You got one last Niner question, or are we going to the calls?
Let's go to him. Let's go to the Stride Abides.
The Stride Abides.
Oh,
what happened there? There we go. Ronnie Lott jersey, looking strong. Got the
Proof. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
I cannot hear you, gentlemen.
Really?
Why can't I hear you, gentlemen?
Kev's the tech wizard. Hold on a second.
I'm not
Let's
sure.
ask.
Let's check your settings. We'll come back to you next call.
I got everything up.
Check your settings. We'll be right back to you. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Well, let's go.
I was eating some New York out.
Okay. Wait a second.
Got broken.
What were you eating? What were you eating?
Why is the volume not working?
What were you eating? You were eating New York.
He
can't hear us. Okay,
hold
on.
Stop clicking it. There you go. Here.
All right,
there we go. Romelia.
All right, we go to the Romelia.
What is up, fellas? Let me get
the Romelia. That's not going to be tough to beat right there. That last one. That's not going to be tough to beat. He couldn't hear us, but we got you. And are you at Dodger Stadium? Where are you right there? Is that
That's SoFi.
That's SoFi
Stadium.
Okay, SoFi. All right.
Niner fans love this stadium. They even show up when the Niners are playing on the road. I'll see Niner fans at the game still at SoFi instead of Niner Stadium.
I think we're calling it Levi's South. Levi's South.
Yeah, we call it the SoFi Niner season flush dreams and nightmares PTSD syndrome. I'm surprised they still show up to this place. The worst nightmares of their career, of their fandom. Losing to the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
Oh no!
We'll see what happens. I like
Romelia. Are you a pro Ram person? I'm getting a pro Ram vibe here.
Yes, I'm a Rams content creator. I'm the Ram to talk to because I know both teams. For 29 years, I've been saying, not this year, Niner fans, not this year. So we will see what happens. The Niners, we call them, and it's first of all, great content. Krugers, my guy Larry, he comes on my guy Grant show. I'm the guy that comes on there. Now McVay has lost to Shanahan the regular season. You know, it's horrible. We got the big one. We got these young cats. They went into Seattle, won the game. People had us as dead, and now here we are with the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi. It's going to be a lot of sea of red. That's okay. But it's what better to get our feet wet, see where we are, the barometer with this offensive line that looks really good, and see what we've got. And then as we go down the season, I picked us to go 8-9, 9-8. This is before game one, but maybe sneak into the wild card. I saw Geno and the Seahawks coming back to earth, and we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to the Rams competing on Sunday.
The Romelia, we're looking for who's the best Ram media person in Southern California. We're thinking maybe get somebody on Friday. Who's the best Rams media person there is down there?
To have on
our show.
Are you talking about a content creator or what are you talking about?
Well, it could be a media person, announcer.
Yeah.
Who's the best reporter? Like if you said, you know what, this guy's Mr. Ram, man. This guy knows more Rams than anybody. Who is the dean of Ramdom down there?
Right here. I just don't have my media credential.
Look
right
at
here.
you.
I'm a Ram fan since '79. I've been a Ram fan before they went to St. Louis, and so we'll see about getting that media credential. I'm going to be the Larry Krueger or Grant Cohn of the Rams, and I call it like it is. You know, we expect.
So
to win
who
the
you
Super
been
Bowl.
ragging on?
We don't care about regular season.
Who you got to be ragging on somebody down there? Who you ragging on? If Grant were down there doing your job? Who would he be all over right now? Who's not pulling their weight in Ramland?
You know what? I didn't like that we got rid of Jalen Ramsey. You know, Les Snead gets a pass because he won the chip. You know,
Les Snead like that, kind of like a.
Jalen Ramsey.
There you go. So it's like
we were a little irritated with him.
Yeah. Less Snead. I get you. Okay.
But you know what? It's unfortunate, Larry. You know, I always have to remind the Niner fans that 4 of their Super Bowls came before the 93 free agency era. 4 of them. After the 93 free agency era, a.k.a. the Reggie White rule, they won 1 more in 94 because it was already assembled. But it's been long, slow sledding. You know, they've got them. They haven't been able to win.
They've been to 2 other Super Bowls
this
since
is different era, different times. The Rams have gotten to 4 Super Bowls. And the Rams have won 2 as well, and they went to another 2. Unfortunately, we had the Spygate, and Cooper Kupp was hurt in the other Super Bowl 2018. But people need to understand that the pecking order is a little different. You know, the regular season's different, but the Rams have been that team, and they're the most valued franchise in the NFC West. People don't realize that either. The Rams valued more than the Niners or anyone in the NFC.
Are you talking about total
we're building that
worth
wonderful training facility. Franchise value.
Franchise values? Well, only because of SoFi, right? Obviously, SoFi is tied to that probably.
In LA.
Well, there's another thing too.
LA
on our
market.
cap. I mean that stadium in Levi. That's why it doesn't make. I understand why they like to come to our stadium because there's no shade in Levi. But let's talk about the game, Larry. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the game. We're not here to talk shades. We're not here to talk stadiums. We're here to talk Rams Niners.
Yeah. Yes.
All right,
and this is what I would do, Larry. I'm going to give the Niners their props. I'm going to give the Niners their props because they have been loaded. Kyle Shanahan is a media darling. You know, they never get on him. Hey, Kyle, is this the year you're going to finally win the big one? When McVay was, they were on McVay last year. Are you going to retire or you're all in or bust? You know, when we got Von Miller, the guy's a media darling. He's a great coach, but he hasn't been able to get that big one. And there's been other unforeseen circumstances, but formidable team.
You sound like a man who's listened to a lot of. You sound like a man who's listened to a lot of the Cone Zone. So you want Kyle gone, huh?
No, I want him there for another 6 years.
Strictly as a Ram fan.
I want him there while we're rising back up. I like him being there. I like him.
Okay,
I love him being
you
there,
like him, but you don't believe in him. You don't believe in him.
I don't understand why the Niners still believe in him. Tell you the truth, honestly.
Well, I mean, they've been in 3 of the last.
If the Niners fired
3 of the last 4
Shanahan
NFC Championship games,
hired Sean Payton, then he'd get you over the hump. Well, is that the bar in Santa Clara, the championship game?
Well, no, but I mean, I think
remember Tony Dungy couldn't win.
Yeah, but I mean, they were saying the exact same thing about Andy Reid in Philadelphia. And what's happened to Andy Reid? He got a better quarterback. He went to Kansas City, and now he's got 2 rings and probably going to get more. So I don't know. I think Shanahan's a damn good coach. I was listening to an interview with Peter King today on the radio, and they asked, Peter King, where does Shanahan rank with, among NFL head coaches in his mind? And he said if he owned his own team, he'd want Shanahan to coach it. And he could have anybody in football. This is the -- media writer in the country. Peter King said Shanahan's the best coach in football. So how do you make sense of that? A dramatic different tune coming out of Vermilion Sports. Have you noticed that? You and Peter King, Vermilion, are on different paths.
Kyle Shanahan reminds me. Oh, yeah. But listen, Kyle Shanahan reminds me of Mike Martz. Offensive minds, but not good head coaches. The guy never takes it on
until
the
he climbs the mountaintop.
He always has excuses.
I hear
but
you.
also too, Sean McVay wasn't even one of those coaching polls. He wasn't even listed. Sean McVay and Pete Carroll was below Kyle Shanahan, if you could believe it, in one of those polls too. So that doesn't matter. Results matter. Going into last year, the Niners were under 500 in regular season games. They got over the hump. They got CMC. Let's see if they can win now. I expect a good game on Sunday. The Rams have the young dudes, like you mentioned. We have a couple of draft gems, Kobe Durant, the land shark. The Niners can be had. You got to protect Stafford. Hopefully we can run the ball. I'd run right.
All right. I when he got to the shark, I got to the shark. You know what I mean? The call got to the shark when he mentioned the shark. Romelia, call us back, bro. Call us back.
He's lagging.
I had to go time on Romelia right there. I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
He was lagging pretty bad.
I'm just joking, Romelia. But hey, Romelia, we got to jump, man. We got other people other people in the back room. But
thank you, Larry.
if you were a Niner fan, I'd give you another minute or two.
Well, I expect us to a lot better showing than everyone's giving us. You can't, McVay has proven he's that dude. Aaron Donald's still there. We'll see what happens. I got the Rams 27-17 on Sunday.
27-17? 27? Niners are going to lose to the Rams in L.A. by 10?
Brock Purdy.
Change over there.
Brock Purdy, meet Aaron Donald, beat the turf. We'll see what happens.
Now we're rooting for injuries.
Larry.
Romelia, you're the man.
No, sacks. I'm talking about sacks. Sacks. That's all, not injuries. All right, guys. God bless you guys.
All right, Romelia in the house, everybody. Wait a second. Wait. Let's give it up for Romelia, everybody. Where's the applause? There's always a good.
The only thing I was going to say is that, he was saying he cares more about the way, the production. I mean, who's not produced? I mean, Kyle Shanahan has produced.
He's a Ram fan.
No, I know.
Ram fan. Right? Ram fan. Yeah. Ram fan. There you go.
But yeah.
It's a Ram fan, ladies and gentlemen. Ram fan.
Yeah.
Not a Niner fan. Not a Niner fan. See, if we get a Niner fan.
The noises here.
All right. But anyway, thank you to Romelia. We appreciate Romelia. Thanks for coming. All right. Who's up next, Kev? Who's caller number 2 in the Kruger extravaganza on this Wednesday? That's off to a roaring start.
We have one of our usuals, but we got to make sure that we don't let this guy go too long. We always get into long conversations with this guy, but
you got to get in long conversations with me.
Michael Miller's in the house.
Somebody that is always clueless went. What he talked for about 5 minutes too long.
We go to the state of Virginia.
All I got to say is there's still a lot of Brock Purdy haters out there.
Yes.
And he's going to wake up the world, and everybody in this world's going to realize he is the best quarterback in the league. It's obvious.
Best quarterback in the league.
I've done said it before on this show, and I'm going to keep saying it until everybody wakes up and smells the coffee. You seen Patrick Mahomes without his tight end. He looked average. Brock Purdy makes everybody around him look better. Just remember that.
Let me just ask you this.
He's 8-1 career.
Does Brock Purdy playing on the 49ers have any tie to why you think he's going to be the best quarterback?
Because the last time I watched somebody that was this good and I had this much confidence in, it was back in the 80s when I was watching Joe Montana.
Seriously, let's talk about it for a second, because Michael Miller, it's easy to sit there and go, "What? Come on." But let's just entertain this for a discussion for a second. Brock Purdy has played in a short amount of time incredible football. The 49ers, he was a 7th-round pick who played in the preseason last year and then sat around for 3 months, didn't play. Prepared every week like he was maybe going to play, and then didn't play. Didn't play between August and December, mid-December. Then jumps into the saddle in mid-December. Runs the table in the regular season, and don't tell me about how easy the schedule was. That's a bunch of crap.
33.8 points a game average.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, and don't tell me about who they played. He beat Tom Brady. He beat the Commanders. He beat Seattle in Seattle. Okay, so, I mean, the guy did have a nice run, then wins 2 playoff games, and he gets knocked out of the Philly game, and then just beat Pittsburgh 30-7 in their place. Mm-hmm. How many guys do you know that started like that? Not too many. So I'm not saying that Michael Miller's onto something and that he's better than Mahomes. And I'm not saying he's Joe Montana. But when the guy drops back to pass, you're thinking good thoughts most of the time, because he's finding guys and he's making it look relatively easy. But when he comes out of the game, they can't even get plays called. They couldn't even manage the clock. Things just came apart. So
I mean, I'm higher than consensus
saying,
I'm higher than consensus on Purdy, but I mean, you got to admit he has the best talent, arguably in the entire league. I mean, he hasn't played a game yet where he had worse talent than the other team.
I mean, they went from averaging 26 points a game to averaging 33
what I would
a game.
Like to see is Purdy.
They were averaging under 20 points a game.
Were they averaging under 20?
Under 20. It was like 18 points a game under Jimmy.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
33 under 33 under Purdy.
Yes.
I mean, all I'm saying is either this guy is going to come crashing to earth in the next 4 or 5 games, or we may be looking at a very special quarterback, and Michael sounds a little bit like he's had a couple whiskey sours.
I don't drink.
No, I'm just joking, but I'm just saying there are people out there that are like, hey, man, this guy's throwing a few back. No, he's a smart fan who's looking down the road.
I've been saying this for over a year and a half now.
If this is not the case, if Purdy is not a very good NFL quarterback, at the least, wouldn't we all have to agree that what we'd see going forward would be an awful lot different looking than what we've seen to this point? So you got to ask yourself, do you believe what you see in Brock Purdy, or are you waiting for a crash? I think there's a lot of people that have asked this question over and over again in a lot of different ways. And the question is this: is it sustainable? Alex Smith said he thought it was. I think when Shanahan came out and said this guy's the real deal, that's his way of saying that in his mind it is. I believe, based on what I've seen, that it is sustainable. The question is, not everybody believes that. And some people believe he's going to come crashing back to earth.
Yeah, I mean,
but if he doesn't, come crashing back to earth, he's a very good NFL quarterback right now.
No,
let's remember this. In Pittsburgh, he left stuff on the field. I think we could have scored more. I think they put the brakes on because you could see them put the brakes on in the third quarter and just coasted the rest of the game. I think they should have stomped them a little bit more. You can see in the defense, they started playing back off the receivers. They started doing prevent.
No, he's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be great. I think right now the entire league has him around like the lower teens, and most 49ers fans have him in the top 10. He's probably sitting. I think he realistically is probably a top 10 quarterback when it's all said and done.
But, I mean, who had that rankings the other day? They were rankings the other day.
13, but no, but I'm just saying, to be the best quarterback in the league, you have to be special. Brock Purdy may be special, but best quarterback in the league, I'm not sure if he's going to get there.
What does he do bad? What does he ever do bad?
I'm not saying he's done anything terrible.
What don't you like?
I'm just saying.
All he's ever did was outscore the entire NFL.
Devil's advocate. I'm just
why you got to bash Brock Purdy that way?
Remember this: all he's ever did is outscore the entire NFL. He's never really did anything bad. He's had 3 interceptions so far in what 8-9 games?
Right.
10 games, whatever he played, including playoffs.
Four last year.
It was 3 last year.
Wasn't it 13? I thought it was 13-4.
13-3. That's all he's ever did wrong is 3 interceptions in his career.
What it is it's a perfect pairing. You know, Brock Purdy is a quarterback that he delivers the offense, and Kyle Shanahan has a great offense, and that pairing makes them two really great. Like, it makes them great. But Brock Purdy alone, is he the best quarterback in the entire NFL? I would say no. But is he a really good quarterback? Yes. I think he's better.
I will say this also. Yes. How about George Kittle before Brock Purdy?
Right.
I thought he was on his way out the league.
Night and day.
Night and day difference. How about Brandon Ayuk pre-Brock Purdy? Average. Above average.
I mean, George Kittle had an NFL record season before Brock Purdy, though.
He's a superstar.
But George Kittle, I mean, George Kittle had the greatest productive stretch of his career since Purdy stepped into the starting lineup. I mean, Kittle's been incredible. Heck, Purdy made Charlie Kohler at Iowa State look good. He goes to the tight end a lot, and especially last year when he didn't know the offense as well. But yeah, I mean, I mean, Brock Purdy's playing really, really well. So, I mean, either something's going to have to change, or this guy's pretty damn good. You know, I don't know why we would assume that he's not good until he proves it. It's like,
how long is it going to take him before everybody wakes up and realizes he is the superstar that I'm claiming he is?
Let's be honest about it, Michael. How old are you? How old were you in 1981?
I'm 52 years old, almost 53 this year.
Okay, so we're basically the same age.
The Niners before
you were 11 years old. You were 11 years old when Joe Montana basically won the Super Bowl. So I mean, it's nobody knew at that time that Joe was going to do it. There were people that doubted Montana, even going into that Super Bowl against Marino, not as an all-time great. I mean, people thought Marino was the better quarterback there. So it's like being a quarterback is more than just size and arm strength and power. Otherwise, Marino would have beat Montana in that Super Bowl.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it, and it's also it's your intelligence, it's your savvy, it's your accuracy. Do you process what you see at the line of scrimmage? Does the ball come out on time? Do you have some good zip on it?
Purdy.
Yeah, and how accurate are you? He's accurate. Yeah, so we'll see.
He's accurate, gets the ball out fast, gets the ball it's just there ain't nothing you can say. What has he ever did wrong?
Oh no.
That's my question.
He's made mistakes. I mean, he hasn't been obviously perfect, but I'm not even saying he's bad. I was just saying to say he's the best in the league right now, I think is kind of
I know it does sound crazy. It sounds crazy because there's Mahomes, but I mean, quarterbacks, Josh Allen, if you asked 100 football people who's a better quarterback, Josh Allen or Brock Purdy, they would all say Josh Allen.
And I'd be the only one correct saying Brock Purdy. And yet on
Sunday and Monday, who looked better this week? Brock Purdy.
Who's looked better than last eight preseason or 8 regular season games? Brock Purdy or the rest of the NFL?
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that all these teams in a heartbeat would still take Josh Allen over Brock Purdy.
I think we just got to see. We just got to. There's not enough sample. There's not enough data points. You got to see Purdy in more situations. I'll tell you this.
How many games? How many games?
Wins league MVP this year? Will you believe that?
If they start the season off 10-0 and Purdy's never lost a game still, then people are going to be like, "What?"
If they're undefeated going into the Eagle game, I think he'll get his love.
I'm not even saying that's all it takes, but I'm just saying that's going to be incredible.
By the Eagles game, though, that would have been a full season, undefeated season by that point.
Yeah.
He will win. He will win league MVP. He will be a Pro Bowler, first team All Pro, and Super Bowl MVP. You heard it here first.
Michael Miller
and the best
Virginia.
Player of all time. No, I'm kidding.
No, but there are some Joe vibes to the guy. From the standpoint of Joe had tremendous intangibles. Joe had this very calm, this very cool. They called him Joe Cool. He was very cool. He was very cool in the moment. Brock Purdy has a lot of that. And also Joe had what Brock has and what Mahomes has, which is he wasn't a burner, but he was a great athlete, great competitor, and he had escapability. And he could scoot away from you the same way Mahomes does, the same way Brock Purdy does to some degree. I mean, that's one of those things.
Has anybody caught Brock Purdy scrambling yet?
No, not yet. He's been very, very quick.
As far as an athlete goes, him or Trey Lance wasn't an athlete. Trey Lance was a wheelchair, pushing his wheelchair. Compared to Brock Purdy.
I just think that Trey Lance is a great athlete, but I don't know that Trey Lance. I mean, it's not about athleticism.
Transfer from D1 AA to the NFL, and Brock.
I mean, it's just going to take, to me, in my opinion, it's going to take him more time. I think to give up on Trey Lance, but I think it's obvious at this point that Trey Lance is a long range play for the Niners, for Dallas. For anybody that wants to invest in Trey Lance, it's more of a long-range play. It may look really good, but it's not going to look good today, tomorrow, or in 6 months. It's more likely to look good in a year, 2 years, 3 years.
I will say this: we've seen the last of Trey Lance, other than preseason.
All right. Well,
he's done in the NFL.
I disagree, but we'll see. We'll see. That's the beauty of everybody's got an opinion, different one.
My score: 38. 17 Niners, and they're going to get a last-second TD in trash time. So that's why they getting the 17.
Michael, good stuff, my man. Have a great night in Virginia. Appreciate you.
Yep.
There you go.
See you,
The
Mike.
great Michael Miller. All right, Kev, who's on deck?
We going Mr. Blue Magic.
There he is. Wearing a jersey, looking sharp.
Hey, yo,
Mr.
Larry.
Mr. Blue,
Larry.
how are you?
No. We're not even going to get into pleasantries and none of that. Because these first two callers, I don't care what nobody say they was drinking. They was drinking. Yo, Kev, this is why I love when you sit up here. Because Kev was the only person that made legit sense this last
Thank
segment.
Thank you. Someone gets me, man. Someone gets me.
Yo, for anybody, as a diehard Niner fan, for you to sit here and honestly say that Brock Purdy is better than Patrick Mahomes, you should have everything stripped from him. Like, it's one thing. It's one thing to be a homer, and then it's another thing to just have an outlandish take.
Don't let it cloud your judgment.
That was an outlandish take. At all.
Well, that's Michael Miller.
and
Michael Miller's projecting it. He's projecting it. Come on, let's be honest. It's a projection. He's saying going forward.
No, it's not. No, he didn't. And we're not going to do that, Larry. We are not going to do that. You know, I'm not letting none of that shit fly. He said right now, Brock Purdy is better than Patrick Mahomes. He said he's the best player. He said he's the best quarterback in the league. Now, this is why I said Kev I love hearing Kev because
Thank you.
just like Kev said, with Brock Purdy's skill set and Kyle Shanahan's system and these weapons. Mm-hmm. It looks like the perfect marriage. Now here's where now Larry, you asked a very important question, and I like that you asked. You said, how long will it take for people to figure out if
to believe? How long will it take for all of us to believe in Purdy?
So and here's what I've said on many a platform. Until we see him overcome actual diversity. The defense has been putting him in a great situation, and it's not a knock on Purdy because he can't choose to start the ball on the 25 every drive, so forth and so on. So it's not a knock on him. He's doing exactly what's asked of him when he steps on the field. So I don't take that away from him. But I'm not putting extra stock into him because I don't know what Brock Purdy would look like without this cast. And if we say that this is the best roster in football, and some say that Kyle Shanahan is a genius and the best coach, then how is this so much credit? And this is one of the things that intelligent individuals say, hey, let's slow down for a second. He's looking great, but let's not jump off the deep end like we did with Jimmy. Even up until right before we saw Brock Purdy, you still had NFL analysts on television still saying that Jimmy was the reason the 49ers were winning. So we always go to this whole quarterback wins thing. Just like people want to say, oh, well, Brock beat Brady. Brock did not beat Tom Brady. Quarterbacks don't play each other. Quarterbacks play the opposing defense. And to say that Tampa Bay's defense was anything other than trash, you don't know football.
But they were 7th in the NFL in points per game allowed.
They were trash, Larry. Let's get for real. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't, but numbers can be manipulated. And also Brock Purdy 4 interceptions. You were absolutely right. 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Right.
But
I mean, like, okay, so let's think about this. It's all the good teams have great weapons. I mean, to me, when I think of the Cowboys of the 90s, they dominated. They had Troy Aikman, but it was Emmett and Michael and Novacek and Alvin Harper and Daryl Johnston. They had great weapons. Steve Young had Ricky Waters and Bar Nunn and Jerry and Taylor and Jones. And Montana had Craig and Rathman and Taylor and Jerry and Jones. I mean, it just seems like, Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison and Dallas Clark and all these. These teams all had big-time weapons, so it's like you got to win.
Kev. No, go ahead, Kev. Because you was about to go exactly where I was going.
There's a quarterback, great quarter. This is not a.
Nobody wins without great weapons, is my point.
I think Brock Purdy's really good, but Patrick Mahomes just won the Super Bowl after losing Tyreek Hill and played with like Valdez Scantling and Sky Moore. So it's like
and no offensive line.
Yeah,
and no offensive line. And on a broken ankle. Like, come on.
He had Kelsey and Isaiah Pacheco. You don't think Isaiah Pacheco's good?
Yeah, no, he's great, but they won the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, Purdy obviously is benefiting from having great weapons, benefiting from Kyle Shanahan. He's still a great quarterback, and I think it's a perfect pairing. I'm just not going to go and say that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. That's not crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hyperbole. I mean, he's trying, he's trying to make his point. That's Michael. He's in Virginia. He's having a good time. But I do.
He need to lay off whatever he uses.
He's having a good old time. I mean, let's just say this. I mean, would you at least agree with this, Mr. Blue Magic, that either Brock Purdy's going to start losing some games, throwing some picks, and making some mistakes in the next 2 or 3 games, you would think, or he's a very good NFL quarterback. Would you agree?
No, I won't say. Hold on. No.
How many games?
I'm not going because Larry, this is what you do. You skip questions. You'll go into a whole nother soliloquy to get out of answering the question. So I'm going to answer your question.
What's the question?
I don't believe. No, I'm answering your question. Okay. I don't believe Brock Purdy is going to play bad the next couple of games and throw picks and all that because our next couple of opponents are trash.
Well, okay. When I say next couple, how about the next 5? He's got Dallas in there. What if there's the league's not that great? I mean, you play who you play. I mean, come on. I mean,
that's another thing.
Lose to anybody.
So when I talk about mediocrity, we can't go from saying, well, the NFC is only 3 teams. But hey, look, you made it to because everybody else is trash. Now I'm not saying that Brock is winning because he's not facing true legit competition. But we can't have it both ways. You can't be this amazing. And once again, I'm not trying to take any credit away from Brock. But to keep putting him on a pedestal that some people put him on.
Well, I mean,
it's unrealistic.
You're right. Come on. He's not.
Especially every time you bring up this, he scored 33.3 points a game. You love that stat. But no, it's not. It's not. Brock Purdy didn't score those.
True?
The team scored them. It's the team. I'm gonna tell you this. Now, here's the difference between a quarterback winning you the game and the team winning the game. When your team averages the most yak yards in the league, it's not the quarterback. We already say it. Get it out to Christian, quick. Get it out to Debo, quick. Get it out to Kittle, quick. And let them do what they do. How can we accredit that? How can we accredit all of those yards to the quarterback? Now, what I will give Brock credit, and I've always given him this credit, people say he doesn't have elite traits. He does. He has elite processing. Elite.
He's pretty accurate.
Yes, he is pretty accurate, but his accuracy isn't to the gods like Larry likes to make it seem. And once again, I understand even the pushback with Trey Lance. People tend to dislike players more when they feel that people are overhyping them. So when people hear when people hear Brock being compared to Joe Montana and Patrick Mahomes, it makes people dislike people without doing anything wrong. And I believe that's a lot of the push that Brock gets because of what other people are saying about him. Brock even though he has this bravado on the field, Brock from people that I know who have been around the team, he's extremely humble. He just got that dog in him when you put him on the field and let the leash off.
Right. You're totally right.
But because so many other people put this bravado on him off the field above others who we know with honest football IQ that he's not. For right now, I have Brock between 13 and I want to say 9th.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, yeah, I think that's really fair. I think right now, I mean, there's polls going as low as fucking 22 where he's ranked. I think that there's a really good chance by the end of the season when the Niners are 15-2 or 13-4 that Brock Purdy's in the top 10 because of his statistics. But yeah, I mean, you just can't put Brock Purdy in that top 10 right now. I mean, when a quarterback's drafted, when Trevor Lawrence was drafted as like one of the best prospects in the last 10 years, he wasn't automatically put in the top 10. You don't.
But everybody's got a different barometer. It's like
haven't played enough games that high in the rankings.
It's like everybody's got to now state what their barometer is. Is it 5 games, 10 games? Is it a season? Is it a Super Bowl? Like some people say, no, it's not. It's not 1 season. It's 2 seasons, 3 seasons. Okay, but what if the first season includes a Super Bowl? Doesn't that change your
16 games? Maybe that.
What's that?
And even that, even if you go out and win a Super Bowl. I'm still not anointing any. I don't care what rookie came out and because even when you look at the numbers, they were decent numbers. But you have quarterbacks in the league putting up ridiculous numbers. And even on Brock's pace, if he would have started from week 1, his numbers still wouldn't have hit his numbers. Honestly, because you got to remember, start of the season, we didn't have Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle was out. Elijah Mitchell went down early. These are the things that are not taken into account. So
I just think it's funny how in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts has never won a Super Bowl. He also has awesome weapons, and nobody's questioning him as their guy, are they?
Oh, not as Philly's guy.
Right, but I'm just saying nobody's questioned him as a terrific young quarterback. People are like, yeah, he's a terrific young quarterback. But with this guy, it's like, oh, no, we got to see more. We got to see more. But in a lot of ways, they're very similar guys.
But I'll tell you, they're not. I'll tell you the difference. People seen Jalen Hurts progress. They seen him when he came in, and everyone was like, oh, he can't play. And then the next year, he got better. He improved. And then the next year, he turned into the Jalen Hurts we see now. But it's also if you remember, there was a whole nother regime. They played towards his strengths.
Yeah.
So they
new coaching staff. Yeah.
I mean, these rankings are meant to change. Like no one's making a list and be like, this will never change. Like they're going to change. And I think Brock Purdy is actually on a super fast trajectory to getting to like that top 10 level quarterback. And like 49ers fans should be super proud of that. But I just, we're still talking about the same thing. And I don't even think it's really an argument. Putting him top 5 right now is more of just a projection.
Mr. Blue Magic, what'd you see in week 1, though, from Purdy? And what do you think we're going to see this year? Give me his final stat line on the year.
I can't, Larry. Because I'd be a hypocrite. Because legitimately, I'd be a hypocrite and go against everything that I've been saying. The reason it's so hard to do that with this team is because we are the most injured team in the league. And I think in different cases, we're a player away from Brock Purdy's numbers dipping tremendously. Think about this. If we lose CMC, production dips expeditiously. If we lose Trent Williams, numbers dip. We lose Trent Williams, we might lose Brock and be stuck with Sam Darnold or whoever else.
That's the NFL, man. That's the NFL. That's why they have that new luck rating thing where it's like injury luck and just the way the game ends luck. Like you're gonna have to get a little bit of luck.
What if you bet the Jets this summer? All of a sudden now you don't have Aaron Rodgers. It's just the way it goes. But there is some. I don't agree with people who say it's just totally random. Yeah, it appears random, but also, the younger players are more apt to stay healthy than older players. I mean, if you have a roster full of guys that are 34 or older, the odds are they're going to get hurt more than younger guys.
No, we're not talking about the rest of the team.
Depth matters a ton.
Ordered the 49ers. George Kittle, first 2 seasons, he was banged up off and on. Deebo Samuel, first 2 seasons, he was banged up off and on. And
those better than me, but I mean, there are two kinds of players in the NFL: guys who run around guys and guys who run through guys. And when you're a guy who runs through guys, like Deebo, like Kittle, it's just
That's why we can't put our Niners on the same scale as the rest of the league. We're the most physical football team in the league, offense and defense.
Yeah.
So for me, and this is
an impressive week 1, man. I wasn't just impressed that they beat the Steelers; it was how they beat the Steelers. They looked a lot more physically dominant than the Steelers.
Physically, we just looked like we were prepared, and the Steelers wasn't. In no shape, form, or fashion. On no level did the Steelers. This is the worst I have ever seen a Mike Tomlin team play.
Yeah,
well, Pickett. I'm not. Are you a Pickett? I'm not a Pickett fan. I think Pickett's just relatively average. I don't think I think I watched him at Pittsburgh. He's makes some good plays. Doesn't have the worst arm. He has kind of small hands. But he's inconsistent with his accuracy, and he always has been. And it's like the same guy I watched Sunday was the guy that I watched in college. It's like he's a good player if you can surround him with enough talent, but his accuracy is just okay. It's not.
Wait,
he gets in the area. He's not pinpoint.
Say that again, Larry.
Just
he's a what player? If what?
What's that?
Mr. Blue, hey, we appreciate you. What's your Rams prediction? We got other people waiting. We got to cut it off. But what's your Rams prediction, man?
I think last week was a fluke with the Rams. So I got us 28-13. And I think we get a little sloppy at this game, and that's the only reason I'm giving the Rams 13.
I'm going 35-17. I'm thinking it might be a little bit more high scoring. The Rams want to play ball control, and the Niners, at times when they've had success against the Rams, have played ball control. But I think once you get two teams that both want to play ball control, I think that makes Shanahan say, you know what, I'm just going to open it up. And I think the Niners' advantage is that their receivers are way better than the Rams' defensive backs.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a big track meet.
What I will say is if Kyle, because what impressed me about last week's win was Kyle. I've never seen Kyle script like that. I've never seen him that aggressive. I've never seen him take those type of chances. So I believe if Kyle does coach like that again, I could go more with your score. But once again, it's a division game. I think riding that high could kind of, cloud some judgment, and we get a little lax. Not enough to lose, but just enough to
keep it close. Mr. Blue, we got to jump. Have a great night, my man. We'll talk to you soon. He's fantastic. What do we have here?
Energy.
Anthony Super Chat says, Larry, you need a timer for each caller next episode. Maybe. Who's next, Kev?
I think we're going
Stride abides. Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams.
We go to Ricky.
Sorry,
What's up, Ricky? No mic.
Oh, sorry about that. What's up, Larry?
There you go. What's up?
How you doing?
What's going on?
Ricky?
Going good. How are you?
Good to see you, man.
I'm gonna keep this short.
Well, now, where are you calling us from?
Chico, California.
There you go.
Yeah,
nice.
Yes, sir. I've been watching for, I don't know, probably like 4 months now.
Sweet.
Kind of getting lost in the rabbit hole with kind of you guys, YouTube content creators. So I don't know, man, just kind of liking it. I saw the show with you and Hensley kind of recently. I was like, hey, man, let me call in. So I mean, I have my opinion, but
yeah, appreciate you, man. Well, what's your thought on week 2? Niners are 1-0, riding high, but so are the Rams.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get caught up in this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it. I get it's week 1. I get it. Everyone's having us as the Super Bowl favorites. But listen, Larry, I've been a fan since the Mike Singletary area, and seeing the Jim Harbaugh era too, with the big loss in the Super Bowl and all these NFC championships. It's like I have my expectations so high, but at some point you got to be realistic. And I don't know, man. We just had so many losses recently, and in the big moments too. It's not just like, disappointing losses with Aaron Rodgers going out or something like that. Yeah, okay, we lost our quarterback in the NFC Championship, but we got there, and just not having the quarterback to even play the whole game, like, just disappointing, and again, just snake bit with this team. And I don't know. I guess I'm trying to hear the.
Well, here's the thing. You got to remember this. You got to remember one thing. One team wins, everybody else loses. So it's like the definition of my team won the Super Bowl by definition is going to be feast or famine, mostly famine. And I think that's why. I mean, like. We were talking before to one of the other callers. I said, brought up 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, or 3 of the last 4 NFC Championship games. I don't judge them by that, and their standards are they judge their standard by winning the Lombardi. That's what Jed's in it for. That's what John's in it for. That's Kyle. That's the players, and they'll never be satisfied with the conference title game. But to me, it's steps, and in today's modern sports, I think you've got to give yourself a chance more often than not by having a team that's good year after year after year. And if you do that, I kind of think you're bound to get one somewhere along the line. So we'll see. It's disappointing to lose to the Ravens in the Super Bowl. It was disappointing to lose to the Dolphins or to the to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I was thinking Miami because of that stadium, but yeah, it was just it's disappointing to lose to those teams. But how many teams never ever go to a Super Bowl at all? I mean, Detroit's never been.
But listen, here's the thing. Again, I hear you guys talk about it all the time. Brock Purdy is being asked to do something like we haven't seen ever. You know what I mean? Like, he's a second year. I get he has all this experience and whatever. I ain't even talking about limitations. He has it. He has the intangibles. That's all I care about. You can deliver, play catch in the field, I guess. And he can do that. Well, for whatever reason, Trey Lance, I don't want to get into that, but with all these guys coming in with talent, for whatever, you just don't have the intangibles. He has it. So I get it. He can deliver. But again, he's a second-year quarterback, Larry. Like,
right. Well, I know.
Come on. Have you ever seen that? I mean, I haven't seen it in my lifetime. I get the whole Joe Flacco thing. I get the whole, whoever came in for Carson Wentz when he went down.
There's never been this Nick much Foles, on a player this young. I mean, really. I mean, there's never been this kind of expectation on a quarterback that was this young. Never, ever.
So why am I mean, that's just so high? Why are we assuming that they're going to win the Super Bowl?
Just because the NFC is so bad. That for me, if you said what's my reason, the NFC. I think Detroit's a good franchise, but I think they're a year or two away. I think there's a couple other teams that are decent, but once again, year or two away. The Niners and the Eagles are the best teams. The Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year. It just feels like the Niners have the upper hand this year. They got Hargrave.
But Brock hasn't had those.
Brock hasn't had. Brock's young.
Out of college, like I don't know, Jalen Hurts or whoever you want to match up. He was the last pick in the draft.
The team. I'll say this though. I mean, the 49er players. I mean, all I can tell you is what I see, and I'm in that room on a regular basis. They have a belief in this guy. Now, what choice do they have? He's their guy. But I'll say this. It was not like a fabricated thing that just started at some point last year. Like, as soon as he won that Miami game, that next Tuesday, the entire room was like, yeah, totally, like, Brock Purdy can do it. No doubt in my mind. I mean, I've not seen one guy who, at any point, who had even was like, yeah, I mean, he's doing pretty good right now. We'll just have to see. No, everybody had this, like, belief that this guy's legitimately good.
Yeah,
so
no, I get it.
now
And
we're
if Tom
seeing
Brady
it,
starts
and
somewhere,
it's.
and
I mean, you hope it can. As a Niner fan, you hope it continues, because here's the reality: the 49ers needed two things to win the Super Bowl: a killer, physical, dominating, suffocating defense, and a quarterback who can make plays off schedule and play big in big games. And that's what they wanted in Trey Lance. That's what they see in Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. They wanted somebody who could make plays off schedule. Now they've got this kid. He's very experienced. He's got mobility. He can escape the pocket. He's very bright. He can make plays off schedule. And they've got a killer defense. They went from scoring 20 a game to scoring 30 a game. What's it going to take to win the Super Bowl? A killer defense and an offense that scores 30 a game. They have that right now. Now it's just a matter of can they stay healthy, keep it rolling, maybe get home field. That's what it's about. But they have an offense that can score 30. I'm absolutely convinced of that. And they have an outstanding physical defense with Greenlaw and Warner in their super prime and impact players up and down in depth. So unless they're hit with just an array of really costly injuries, I think they're the best talent in the NFC. And I don't know if they can beat Mahomes in Kansas City, but I feel like they could beat anybody else.
No, I get it. And see, that's the thing too. What if Brock actually gets it done? Like, what if he gets the Super Bowl? Then
It'd
what?
be great.
You know what I mean? Then what conversation we're having entering next season? And I don't know. It's just so much riding on the
It's
kid.
a good conversation, that's for sure. It's a good one.
Seriously, and it's tripping me out. It's like I don't know, just the fact that we never seen it. I guess what would help too, I guess for the modern fan, is that if you saw Brock get it done in a game, like come back from behind, get it done when it's him, not just because of, okay, you have the weapons, I get it, the yak bros and all that stuff, but like him going into a drive, maybe with a 2-minute warning or whatever, and just getting it done, I think that would solidify, I guess, I don't know, confidence, I guess, in fans like me, where I haven't seen any I haven't been around the Super Bowl games or anything like that, so I've seen nothing but fails and in the biggest moments too, so I don't know. I guess my expectations are low until I see Brock truly get it done with, I don't know, everything.
Well, no, you're being real. I think you're being kind of you're setting reasonable expectations, which how dare you do that, Ricky? This is sports. And there's no room for this tempered, scaled down, logical approach.
And that's the thing too. I wasn't on either I wasn't on either, wagon with Trey or with Brock. I truly, or even Darnold, I get, the hate or whatever behind Darnold, but I haven't watched any Jets games. I haven't really seen him play. I mean, okay, the big moments, I saw the whole ghost game, whatever, but again, he was on a poor team. He hasn't been on with the 49ers. He hasn't had George Kittle. He hasn't had, Debo. So it's like, I don't know. Again, I just want to see the best quarterback. But even then, is Brock, okay, yeah, he might be better than Trey. But Trey had this, he had the talent. You can't deny he had the talent. So I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
He had athletic ability, but it was just going to take time to develop.
So I'm sorry.
They lost interest in the development plan because they got something that was much more short term.
Correct. And that throw, Larry, the throw in the Super Bowl that we lost. The throw to Emmanuel
Sanders.
Yes. Does Brock make that throw? I mean,
I don't know. That's a great question.
I know Trey can
make that throw.
No.
But I mean,
it's hard to take one game and say that one throw was the only reason they lost. But I get what you're saying with seeing Brock face adversity would be helpful for some of the doubters because we haven't really seen him face a ton of adversity. And if he got into a game where he was down, I know he was down against the Raiders, but if he got into a game where he was down and then made a huge comeback and made a huge play at the end of the game to win it, I mean, that's going to turn some heads around and the national media will start talking about it. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And then, okay. And for the rankings, I'm sorry, one last thing.
Yeah.
For the rankings of the modern day analysts and all that stuff, if Brock gets it done, I mean, where are you ranking him then? Is it just going to be overshone because, we have all these weapons and all that stuff? Again, what I'm trying to say is I guess it matters how Brock gets it done if he does win the bowl. You know what I mean? But even then,
I think he's got a great. He's got a great.
Brock
yeah, he's got a great chance to get it done because he's leading an offense that's producing 30 points a game right now, and they've got a killer defense. So any game they're involved in, if they're healthy, it's a nice place to start. That is a nice place to start. Yeah. I mean, there are very few teams in pro football whose offense is got weapons like theirs, and there's very few defenses that are anything close to the 49ers. So he's in a good spot, but injuries, you got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy. I added, he had 15 hurries. He had 7 hits. If he gets hit 7 times every single week, that's going to be, close to 120 hits. I don't know if he's going to be available at the end of the year if he takes 120 hits.
Yeah, and he's not a big guy, right? What is he, 6 foot?
Right. So, I mean, that's my big question. Kev, what about you?
My big question about Brock?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? I guess really what I was saying, facing that adversity, I'd like to see him, play with missing some guys. I mean, what if, if Debo goes down, if they're missing, if Kittle gets injured, if they have a bug game where they're missing some guys and, maybe Braden Willis is at tight end and they have, I don't know, Ronnie Bell as one of their starting wide receivers. I'd like to see him execute with those guys too. I'm not a huge, people in the chat were saying I'm a Purdy hater. I'm not a Purdy hater. In the overall grand scheme of things, I'm probably a Purdy lover. I mean, looking at how everyone else talks about him, I love the guy. I just think, I would love to see him do some other things. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Ricky, we got to jump, man, but I appreciate you jumping in here.
No, give us a prediction first.
Yeah, what's your prediction on Niners Rams?
Hey, look, man, I said it last week. I'm still scared for Wilkes. I heard, obviously with the pressure dialing up, I think he can do it, but I think the Rams just are good with the passing game. So I think they're going to score 3 tutties, I think. At least 21, probably 31. That's probably
31-21 Niners.
Yeah. We'll see, though. Hopefully the defense can come out with that same fire, but we'll see.
Hey, thanks for watching us up in Chico, man. We appreciate it. We love Chico.
Thanks, Ricky.
And who knows? Maybe one of my kids may wind up at Chico. He's a big Chico fan.
I don't know. Maybe we'll catch a beer or something.
Yep. There you go.
Let's do it.
Ricky, have a great night, man. There you go. The great Ricky Williams.
Let's hit some
couple supers here.
Yeah.
Derek says, we need more games to know what Brock is. We learn from Cap and Jimmy. I think Niner fans have a little Cap and Jimmy scarring, to be honest. Derek says, would you guys sign him to a top 10 and money? And is it true Brock's 10 years time is close to Tyreek? His 10-yard split is close to Tyreek. Tyreek's was 150. Purdy's was 154. Would I sign him to a top 10 deal? Eventually, the guy keeps doing what he's doing. How could you not? How could you not?
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy got number 1. Jimmy got number 1 money. Remember that?
That's the way it works in the NFL. It's a meritocracy, but if you deliver at quarterback, you get paid. Blake says, respectfully, how is overcoming a UCL not adversity? College teammate coached Purdy in high school and said he just gets the game. Either way, go Niners. Yeah.
I mean, that's its own type of adversity.
I believe that.
I think I was talking about more in-game adversity, but
you don't know what you're talking about, damn it. Oh, sorry. Zachary Kelway says transsexuals are going to hate on Brock's success.
Okay. That's probably
interesting comment. Derek says 49ers has 31st yards after the catch in week 1. 31st?
Is that true? Is that really true?
I don't know. It's 1 week, though. Anthony says, Larry, you need a timer for each caller next episode. I know, Anthony. We will. We'll do a timer. We got this one from Brother Bob. Kevin, good seeing you. Keeping your old man in check. Pig in a pickle. There you go.
That's what I do.
Bob. There you go. Brother Bob says, Niners 41-10. I'll be in SoFi. What does that say? He'll be in SoFi too. Purdy power. Brother Bob, tilt one back for us.
41-10 is crazy. I mean, if you thought that they played well against the Steelers, I mean, that's even
That's probably what I would pick too. I'd pick something like that. Something
41-10.
It could be a route for sure. WTM says, who's the Rams' right tackle and left guard to contain Bosa and Hargrave? Who is the Rams? Who is their left tackle? Is that what he's asking? Their left tackle is Alaric Jackson.
Yeah, Alaric Jackson, right tackle.
Their guards are Steve Avila and Joe Notaboom.
The right tackle
Avila's
is
not
Rob
bad.
Havenstein.
Right. Havenstein.
So.
All right, do we go to the Stride Abides? Digital Drew's hanging out in Chicago.
I think we got one more. We got one from Jurin. Oh wait, no, we got that one. We got that one
early up.
Okay.
We'll go to the Stride Abides.
What is up, gentlemen?
What is up, Stride Abiding?
Man, I work like 65 hours a week, so I listen to you all the time, and but I never get to call in. But I got a rare early night off, so I get to call in.
What do you do?
So,
nice. What do you do?
I'm in home improvements. I'm a home improvement contractor. So
Nice.
someone needs a new roof, someone needs a paint job, windows, stuff like that. That's what we do for a living. Absolutely.
Look at you. What's your area? Where are you, NorCal? Or
So I'm repping the Niners down here in San Diego, California, my man.
San Diego.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
San Diego.
Man.
Well, you guys know Santa Rosa, of course, right? You guys know Santa Rosa.
Sure, we know. All my roommates from Sac State were from Santa Rosa.
Grew up reading Papa Cone, old school press Democrat.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew up.
So where'd you go to
reading
high school? You go to Santa Rosa High?
Santa Rosa High, yes, sir. Santa Rosa Panthers was the
What year?
outside linebacker. Graduated 95, class of 95. Yeah.
95. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So my old college roommate, the great Jim Habkirk, had a younger brother who I believe played football for Santa Rosa as well, maybe around that time.
Nice.
You know Habkirk, but yeah, they're orange and black, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Yes, they are orange and black.
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I want to say really quick hey, Kevin, you know your dad really well. You'll find this hilarious. So I do impersonations, and a lot of my buddies kind of like know your show. And I'm always like, what's funny about Larry? You'll pull the most random college player, and Larry will know everything about him, no matter where they went to school. You get like some random hey, Quantavious Juggerson, made up name. And what about Quantavious Juggerson? Yeah, played his junior college football at the DeVry Institute for Technology. He ran a 4.6 40, but he plays with 4.4 speed on the field. 39 bench presses. I'm telling you, the guy's a player.
Guy's a player, man.
Yeah, the guy's a player.
That's me.
Yeah.
No, hey, Stride, you got to see. Larry does some crazy draft prep. I mean, he just spends all night for nights. Like he just loves it too. Just nights on nights, just going through YouTube, going through all the draft prep, going through Brugler, just reading all the
Seriously,
names,
man.
memorizing all the numbers. It's crazy.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness.
The impersonation is definitely an homage, sir. I definitely appreciate like L'Jarius Davidson. Oh yeah, played his freshman year at the Southern New Hampshire online school. Wait, Southern New Hampshire has a football
That's so
team?
funny you said that. I've gotten a call from my dad before. It's like, you got to check out L'Jarius Sneed from Louisiana Tech, whatever. And it's like he actually is a good player now for the Chiefs. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The most obscure school, and then it'll be what I love is that a lot of times your guys they end up coming to fruition and being something in the NFL. They're a player. Love that. Couple topics we need to have more 49er games. More 49er games. We need to give nicknames to. All right. And my vote for what we should call this Pittsburgh game is the South Park game. And if you want to know why, it's because they killed Kenny. You bastards. For those South Park fans out there.
There you go.
They did kill Kenny. Five. Yeah. How great
Kenny
was it?
Was lousy. Kenny was overrated.
Of course. How great was it to see? And I know Drake, those were cleanup sacks, but still, a sack is a sack is a sack. And I felt that was so great to see that kid because you were covering him, Larry, all in the offseason, talking about how he was in the gym and John Lynch would see him at Santa Clara at 5 a.m., And I just love seeing people that work really hard and then actually it bears fruit, right? So I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
Drake is having 3 sacks, bust out game. Put on weight, there's that downtime. There's that downtime between mini camp in June and training camp. And even if you're the hardest working football coach, even if you're the hardest working football player, they almost all go to the beach or go just hang out with their families and just take off. If you want to find a football coach or scout or player, you're probably not going to find them in the facility in June typically that much because they're.
Right. Why would you make all that money if you didn't go enjoy it a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean this is the only time for them to get away typically. Well, the guys who are there in June are all about ball, and that was both Kinlaw and Jackson this summer. So they didn't miss any days. They stacked days. They showed up, and at least in 1 week. I mean, Kinlaw was powerful inside. I mean, he doesn't have to make a lot of tackles, man. All he's got to do is just be healthy and, absorb blockers. And I was asking Fred Warner about it today, and Fred's like, yeah, man, when I see, Kinlaw in front of me taking on the bodies, it's like gave him an ability to just shoot that gap and smack Najee Harris in the mouth.
If Javon can just occupy two guys and get some pushback, that's all we really need from him.
That's all this team needs.
And I would love to see that because, as much as everyone comes and we have our opinions and, Grant and Kinlaw got in that thing last year, at the end of the day, these guys play a game that we all really love watching and are really passionate about, and they really sacrifice their body. So I want to see good things for a guy like Javon Kinlaw, who's had some setbacks and maybe things didn't work out for. You know what I mean? I really want to see good things for guys like that because this game gives me a tremendous amount of joy, every Sunday, and being able to talk about with my friends, watching your show. And so for all that joy that they give me, I like to wish well for them, to have good things happen for those guys.
I mean, yeah, that you're 100% right there. It's like the game of football is just so fun and so fun to watch, and they're putting themselves at risk to play the game that we love watching. I mean, they're getting paid plenty for it.
It's not a charity, right?
Still, it's like to be like, I hate that guy because I hate that guy. For whatever reason, it's like, dude, they're human beings. I feel like because they're famous, it takes this level of separation between two people where it's like, that's not a real person. That's a famous person. It's like they still are a real human being. You can't just say that you hate them. It gets a little crazy sometimes.
You nailed that. That was exactly my sentiment, 100%. Yeah. As far as the debate about quarterbacks, we have there's power rankings for football teams, right? And I'm sure there's people out there that have done this, but it hasn't really been national. And I think we could possibly get this started, which is weekly quarterback power rankings, where it's not like who's the best quarterback for longevity purposes, right, Larry? But who is the best quarterback this week? Because I think if you talked about week to week, and then every single week you started adding those weeks up, you'd get a more definitive answer. Because the Brock Purdy Mahomes debate that our fun friend there, Michael Miller, and then Mr. Blue Magic were having, of course, I think any sane person would agree for longevity purposes and what he's done in his career. Of course, Patrick Mahomes has proven he is a better quarterback. But you could say since Brock Purdy started, he has a higher quarterback rating than Patrick Mahomes. And Larry, I believe you've quoted that statistic is true, correct?
Well, exactly. The whole thing. I mean, quarterback rating. Obviously we need to see a bigger sample size. Sure. But all we got to go on is what we got to go on. And right now, Brock Purdy looks really, really good.
What do you think of a weekly quarterback, like a quarterback power ranking, where maybe you don't think Brock Purdy's the greatest quarterback, statistically over a long length of time, but this week he was the best quarterback, or this week he was top 3. And then they do that every week. A lot of those.
Yeah, I mean,
like
they
PFF,
do.
I guess.
Team people do that around the league for sure. There was somebody who did a quarterback ranking though that Kev saw this today or yesterday.
Team.
Yeah, where they had Brock Purdy even after week 1, like behind Daniel Jones and people like that.
And those are ridiculous, not based on how he played that week. That's what I'm talking about, how they played that week. Just that week in a vacuum is what I'm getting at, if that makes a little bit of sense.
No, I know. No, I mean, it is a week-to-week league. Jared Goff is not throwing interceptions right now. He's playing at a really, really high level. Josh Allen is a great, great quarterback. Right now,
he's playing horribly.
He's not playing at a very, very high level. Brock Purdy is playing at a high level. So it's like, you have Joe Burrow just got paid, but he had a really rough week 1 against the Browns.
3 points is not lighting the world on fire now.
Right. Stafford, on the other hand, was given up for dead, and so were the Rams. And yet he came out on the road against Seattle and stuck 30 on them and looked great on third down. I think what's going to be interesting this week is that the 49ers, can they stop the run if a team commits to the run? And because I think the Rams are going to commit to the run because they don't have anything else. They don't have Cooper Kupp, and they know they can't drop Stafford back all the time. So they're gonna run it ineffectively, and then they're going to get in 3rd and long or third and like 8, let's say.
Yes.
And I think it's going to come down to Stafford's ability to
converting
play
on the
catch.
money down.
Yeah,
converting on the money
with this
down.
Puka Nakua or Tutu Atwell or Higbee,
by the way, who I pulled off of waivers like everyone else in the country in
Who's
fantasy
that?
football. Nakua, like me and everyone
I tried
else
to get
in
him.
the country.
I tried to get him. I got Atwell. I got Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to 3rd down and whether or not Stafford can make plays against the Niner D, and if he can, and they can dominate the time of possession and get a turnover or two, they could easily win the game. It's the NFL, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think the Niners are going to overwhelm them, and I would say it's probably going to be Niners by 3 touchdowns. That'd be my guess. Maybe
only
more.
thing that'll get in the Niners' way is hubris. If they let their egos get to them over this win over Pittsburgh, I think if they stay within themselves, to stay humble, they always talk about, hey, we just take one game at a time, coach, and all that press conference talk, right? But actually doing that when the game time comes and not overlooking LA. I don't think they will because Debo always has a great game against the Rams, and I think he will this week as well. He just did. There's just certain teams that players have their number, right? And,
yeah, no question.
But McVay is a much better offensive coordinator, to your point, than Matt Canada, let's be honest. And he's got the hardware to prove it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, McVay's a really good
better
coach.
Plan, you're right. And you're right. He won't abandon the run, even if they're, like you said, they're only running for 2 yards, 3 yards a carry. He's smart enough to know you still have to mix that run in there, right?
Yep. Yeah,
I think we all
absolutely.
kind of get that he's going to do a much better job of that.
I mean, the other thing, it comes down to Stafford. I mean, Stafford is a significantly better quarterback and will test the Niners secondary more than Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was off kilter. He was behind his receivers much of the day. They didn't make a lot of plays.
He got
they didn't
rattled
do
early.
offensively.
You're right. He got rattled early, and there were plays where wide receivers were open for Pittsburgh, and he just flat out missed them without anyone in his face. But why? They rattled him early, kind of like how they rattled Tua in the Miami game last year when Brock came in. By the way, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. For me, the first time I saw the broadcast close-up of Brock's face when he was commanding the 49ers offense, I turned to my friends and I go, do you see that guy? He's like 22 years old. He looks like he's 35 in terms of like how calm and relaxed and in control he is.
Yeah.
For me, that was the first time.
47 career starts in college. That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was amazing. The first preseason game, he's working the play clock down to 1. He did it again yesterday in Pittsburgh. He's working that play clock in the 4th quarter down to 1. The guy's a great competitor. That run on 4th and 12 for 18 yards was a phenomenal play.
How about to win the division last year and to close out Seattle, where he ran for the first down, put the ball in front of him. Do you remember the game I'm talking about?
Yeah,
and
it was very Russell-esque.
So what did he do? He protected his body, got the first down, stayed in bounds. That is smart. That's a pro right there.
Certain guys show up to win. Yeah. And that's what this guy is. So you can say he's not this, he's not that. You're right. I won't even disagree. But he wins, and he's going to win a lot of games because Shanahan's got great weapons around him. I mean, he's the perfect quarterback to get rid of the ball out of his hands quickly. He can process what he sees. He can get it out quick. His footwork in the short game, the bootleg game, the play action game is on point. He's got a bevy of receivers and a killer D. He's got a great shot to win a Super Bowl this year, and we'll see if he can get it done.
Speaking of that, real quick, and I know I don't want to monopolize too much, but I've been having fun talking with you guys. So, last couple things. If Purdy does win the Super Bowl this year, a couple things about that. Roethlisberger is the last one to do it at such a young age, and he did do it in his second season. Remember, he got drafted in 2004, was a rookie in 2004. They went to the AFC Championship game, lost, and then came back the following year in his second year at 23, and they actually won it. And what did they have going for them? A great defense. Those great Pittsburgh defenses. yeah, and Talanoa, Palomalu, hey, we got something there.
Yeah.
And what's funny to me about that is if that actually takes place, you could not find two guys with more of a different stature than Ben Roethlisberger and Brock Purdy, or drafted in more opposite rounds, 1st, 7th. So that would be cool. And finally, a good omen. My birthday is on February 5th, and Roethlisberger won that Super Bowl in his second year on February 5th, 2006. So good omen that. If Purdy does win the Super Bowl, it will boost draft day ratings because everyone will start tuning in to the 7th round.
Oh, it'd be incredible. Seriously. No, I mean, and he may change. This may be the tilting point of how NFL teams start to look at quarterbacks. And we may see guys who get it done in college being prioritized over big, strong, fast. I think that's something to look for. Hey, the Stride Abides, appreciate you, man. Thanks for jumping in.
31-21 Niners. Good talking to you guys.
Take care. 31-21 Niners, Kev.
Jeez.
We got GTC Reels says, Larry, Austin Safarian Jenkins, college info, go. University of Washington, tight end, jumbo player, really good prospect. Drafted in the 2nd round, had attitude problems, bounced out of the league. There you go. $1.99.
Hey, there you go. Pretty good.
We got this WTM. Steelers O-line is way better than the Rams O-line, Krug. Big eyes. Gotcha. Let's see. We got another one here. That's that one. Okay. Let's go. Who's been waiting here?
Digital Drew.
Digital Drew.
Oh, boy. How we doing, Larry?
What's up, Digital Drew?
Oh, man. What a day. We are actually launching this game right now, and it is insane. I'm still answering emails behind things. And hey, Kev, finally able to get on the air with you and say,
what up, Digital?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Yeah, so quite insane. Yeah, Drip, I am going to talk MK because it's insane. And I'm going to say that like 15 times. It's insane. The Stride Abides, love that dude. But can he make his way out to the Chicagoland area? Because I need some stuff done to my house, Mr. Contractor.
What are you needing?
Windows.
You need a new roof?
No, I don't need a new roof. My house was actually built in 1870. So I need a lot of shit. Or stuff. Sorry. I try to keep this PG.
Why bother?
I haven't been able to. Okay. I'm rolling with it, man. Real quick, I'm just going to hit you with a couple of quick things to just get your take on it. I know there was some criticism on Kyle in the last game for usage, tackle running for CMC. The game was well in hand, and he was still doing it. Kyle has a history of finding something that works and just like a kid won't let that toy go and just rides these things into the ground. Do you think that's going to come up? Because the Niners are not really a fast start team at the beginning of the season, specifically under Shanahan. They normally start slow, and kind of a secret to their deep playoff runs has been clicking at the right time, right at the end of the season. I'm almost a little worried coming out the gates a little too fast, especially when you see the workload of some of these players, especially McCaffrey. He makes everything click, and I'm really, really concerned of seeing him go, 3 yards up the middle, when there's 7 minutes left in the game. What are we doing, man?
I mean, I think there's a couple things going on. One, Shanahan lost the Super Bowl up 28-3. That forever haunts you. And so you're always thinking, don't celebrate too early, like forever, I'm sure. And then in addition to that, then there was that week 1 game in Detroit 2 years ago where the Niners were up 41-17 in the fourth quarter. And with like 20 seconds left, Detroit had the ball and was down 7. So I think that scarred him. He mentioned it today in the presser. I just think that, he wanted to sprint through the tape on this one. I think you'll see, a lot more of the other backs as the season goes on. You can't run McCaffrey into the ground. And I thought they did a nice job as far as balancing Bosa's workload, to be honest. So I'll say this. I mean, guys like Dre Greenlaw, for example, was not at practice today. He was just on the side running, and they said it was a groin. But I think he's at a point now where he can call his shots. There'll be a few guys, some of the veteran big-time players, will get to call their shots in practice as far as, hey, how much run do I get? But I think that's it. I think Shanahan's got that Lions game on the brain from 2 years ago, and he doesn't know exactly. There were like in that last series, he should have had McCaffrey out. He should have had more runs for the other backs. If what if you lose McCaffrey for the season there, and then you look really, really bad. So, yeah, I think winning the Super Bowl this year is going to not only be about winning games, getting home field, but being really, really smart all the way through. And that's part of it right there. I think, getting guys off the field. He did say, I wish you guys could hear the back and forth on the headsets, because we're sitting there talking about that a lot at the end of the game. But I think he's got a deep roster. He should trust his roster.
Yeah, completely agree. I think Elijah Mitchell got 3 carries for the entire game. Right. I understand trying to manage his health, but
Mason did fumble a little bit in the preseason, so maybe there's some. Kyle's got some Mason concerns, but Mitchell doesn't fumble.
And we're not talking like when I said this right after the game, I was like, I don't like how many carries they got, and some people disagreed. It's not even like, oh, we're just babying CMC. CMC had the most touches of any running back last week by a couple. Maybe he was tied with one running back, but then
he had 25 touches for the game, runs and receptions.
And this on the back of Shanahan saying that they were going to manage this better. And then he comes out in the first game and goes completely against that.
Yeah, and it's not like your running back too is some garbage player. Elijah Mitchell was your starting running back like a season ago. So
and Mason and TDP are starting caliber backs, I believe. They just need an opportunity, really.
Yeah, so I never really got that decision from Kyle. I think that's something that they're going to manage. I honestly would not. I would be surprised if that happens again. I don't think that's going to happen again.
Yeah, we'll see. It's getting harder and harder to trust.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like it's week 1, so I've got no problem going hard on your stars and riding them to a victory in week 1. But as this thing goes on, you're not getting to the finish line. You're not going to get where you want to go in the playoffs if you don't have Christian McCaffrey there and healthy. So it doesn't make any sense to run him into the ground, especially not when you have 2 or 3 or 4 other options that are good options. All we're saying is take a few of those other good options a few more times. But I think he will. I don't think you're going to see 25 touches for McCaffrey and the next guy on the list gets 8 like we saw this week.
Yeah, there is I guess another angle to this if you want to look at it slightly differently. McCaffrey did not have a preseason at all. This was his first real, game time stuff. So maybe he was trying to just get work in. Maybe he was trying to, stretch his legs out a little bit, maybe absorb some of that contact. Pittsburgh was defeated after the first quarter, both emotionally, mentally, and on the scoreboard. So maybe that's an easier target to run CMC at, to get that work, get the contact, get used to some of that punishment. I don't know. I'm reaching at that point, but that's about the only way I can see it making sense. I don't know. Does that hold any water at all?
I just think it's I first of all, I don't think they really have big issues at this point. I really don't. I think to me their big issues are how good is their run defense? How good are the depth of pass rushers? I think that's to me they're a bigger concern than some of those things. Just because I don't know that they can, if a team wants to devote themselves to running between the tackles. Najee runs upright. Najee got knocked back. But we'll see. I mean, some of these other teams, I don't think the Rams can run it at the Niners, but some of the teams on their schedule might be able to. Cleveland with Nick Chubb, they might be able to run it on them. Big, good offensive line. So I'm eager to see how good is the Niner run D. Because if it's really, really special and they can stop everybody from running, then they can make everybody one-sided. They got an offense, and the Niners' offense is producing a lot of points. Suddenly, there's a real path to victory every Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a big question mark. Yeah, and I don't think we'll get that answered potentially through the first 4 games. I think it's going to be a while before they really see a test that they're going to have to respond to. So that might be a trap waiting in the wings for us, of where we think that it's really good, but first time you get a really quality O-line with a talented back, they start to expose things. But that kind of drives into this week. The Niners are not historically fast starters. We all know that. They kind of, completely shit the bed for the first, 3-4 games of the season, play the Rams, beat up on them, and then go on a run. With the Rams, they were supposed to be written off, right? And they actually got a win, and pretty comfortably, over Seattle, which Seattle was supposed to be good. The Rams may be playing with house money and maybe getting way more confident. And the Niners coming back from the East Coast and then going down there and in their mind thinking, yeah, we own these guys. We got their number. Could this be a trap game for the Niners?
There's no doubt.
Where they
There's
might
no doubt.
underestimate.
You got a home opener. You got the home opener next week. You got Dallas the week after that. You had a game in Pittsburgh. Your entire offseason, you're thinking about beating the Steelers. Now here's a divisional opponent in their place. They're really talented, but they're thin. The one advantage is that Cooper Kupp is out, but Stafford's playing. Stafford's probably, as an older quarterback, will probably not be playing with the same effectiveness later in the year. But right now he's healthy and feeling good. And he's got Nakua and Van Jefferson and Atwell and Skoranek and Higbee, and he's got some weapons. Akers and Kyron Williams gave him just enough of a run game. Last week they ran it 40 times, and they went play action pass off of that. I just think that when you look at the Rams on the defensive side, I think that the Rams are going to struggle on the defensive side against the Niners. And so I could see this being, and I think the Rams will be able to score a couple touchdowns on the Niners. I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring. But, 31-21, something like that. Niners, maybe 31.
What I will say is, if the Rams are going to steal one from the Niners, it's probably going to be here. It's going to be when they're fresh. It's going to be early in the year at home. Yeah. They don't play again until week 18. So they're going to be banged up knowing that team, and they're thin. So if they're going to get it, they're going to get it here. So it is a trap game, I think.
It is. And Nakua, the thing about Nakua is he's a dangerous receiver. Why? Because he's so young, he doesn't even realize he's not supposed to be doing this. So they threw him 15 balls this week. He caught 10. He's got really true hands. The guy who's a good route runner. He knows how to sit in the soft spot. Atwell's a burner. Yeah. And then so Atwell stretches the field and makes you honor the deep ball. And then Stafford's healthy and playing well. I just think that they won't run it at all against the Niners. I think if the Rams run with success, it could be a long day. I'll say that. But I don't think they will. I think the Niners will shut down the run and get a lead and tee off in the second half on Stafford and probably win by, as I said, 31-21, maybe 31-17, something like that. That's how I see it. Digital Drew, I've been watching the Mortal Kombat commercials, man. They're looking sharp.
I saw one on primetime.
Yeah. It's great. Dave Bautista did a great job. That was all done under the hat, and we didn't even know about it until it popped, and it was like, oh my god,
it's like a movie. I feel like I'm watching a movie.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we are owned by WB, right? So they got some people who can do some things.
Yeah.
On the TV side. Early access launches tomorrow, and I'm getting into the studio at around 6 a.m. So kind of have to go to bed here pretty soon, just to start flipping switches. 11:21. Getting in the war room and coordinating all these launches. It's a much bigger ordeal than you might think. But the second people start actually playing your game and you see that CCU number spike into the millions, you're like, oh boy, this is real, and it gets crazy, man. It gets crazy.
Exciting.
That is awesome. WTM says word of mouth is restructure. Do your homework. All right. Okay.
Word of the month.
Word of the month. And one more quick thing, Larry, is Drake Jackson, is he legit? Or do you think it's just
no doubt he's legit? No, because here's the thing, and I said this to him the other day, or maybe 2-3 weeks ago in camp. I said, Drake, you're going to, on this line, you're going to get consistent one-on-ones. How do you feel? And he's just like, I couldn't even get the question out. He's like, blessed, just blessed. And that's the reality. When you double Hargrave and you double Armstead, you double Bosa, if you double two out of those guys, this guy's getting a for sure one-on-one every snap. And he's young enough, talented enough, good enough motor that if you give him a one-on-one all day, he's going to come off a block even when he doesn't win with his initial move. He's going to get 2 sacks a game on just motor and falling into stuff because the other guys he's playing with are so damn good. So yeah, he's special. He's gonna have a 10 to 12 sack season. Bank it.
Really? You think
that? Oh yeah,
that big?
Yes. Definitely.
He's already.
I mean, I'm not sure about the sack number, but he's definitely setting up. It's definitely a setup for him to have a great year because of how all the attention on all the other pieces on the line. So
yeah. Digital Drew, let us jump because Gammon's in the back room. We want to get to him as well. Good to see you. Have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
Oh, enjoy my day. Yeah, I will try, Larry. If I have any hair left by the end of the day, we'll see what happens.
All right, see you later. The king of Mortal Kombat in the house, Digital Drew, and we go to Gammon Brown. Gammon, how are you, man? I like the backdrop. It's a beautiful sunset.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, somebody who loves the Sacramento Kings, and then is a big Sacramento Kings fan. It is a kind of a strange background for a Kings fan to have, but a lot of us from Sacramento, or it feels like 50% of us, are transplanted from the Bay Area.
Is that your story? I went to Sac State. My brother's a judge up in Sac.
Okay,
and so he goes to all the games with my nephews.
Oh.
But I'm a as Monte Ellis would say, I'm a Warriors, and I'm always going to be a Warriors. And that's a direct quote from Monte Ellis. No, but we got you in the playoffs last year. I mean, we got you in the playoffs. Though I do love Davion Mitchell.
Barely, and a lot of people were thinking that the Kings were going to get blown out. It was going to be a quick series. And for me, I mean, I used to play point guard in college, but I just knew that it wasn't gonna be as quick as a lot of people thought it was gonna be. But I will admit this: I didn't know that Sabonis was gonna have that much of a difficulty in that matchup. I truly was very, very surprised. But
he got brutalized in that series.
He did. He
and
caught a black
the
eye. Yeah.
And the Warriors didn't bring any of that fire the next round against the Lakers. But in that round, they acted like Sabonis was like public enemy number 1, and he must be defeated anyway, anyhow. And by the time that series ended, I mean, his face looked like just a punching bag, and Draymond had gotten the upper hand. Draymond, it's funny, when he went up against LeBron in the next round and AD, he was helping him up off the ground. I think one of the things that was the most disappointing as a Warrior fan is how Draymond Green went from ferocious against the Kings to just, I don't know, not quite that ferocious against the Lakers. Didn't seem like he had it in him to go up against LeBron and AD the same way he went at Sabonis.
You know, it's funny, but there's this thing called respect, and respect is a two-way street. And that was going to bring me up to the next point that I was going to say. Absolutely light the beam. I really believe that this is the Sacramento Kings year. But I did want to say
they got JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee's in the house.
I actually felt like that was a huge acquisition, not just for the Kings, but really because I felt like that would have been a bigger piece for the Warriors versus the Kings, kind of that weird addition by subtraction, taking that player off the market. But I did kind of want to make this slightly personal in the beginning here, and hopefully it's not too awkward. But I want to start off by saying this man to man and in person. I apologize for you were basically talking about how Trey Lance was going to be traded. And so I wanted to be man enough to come out here and say man to man that I apologize for anything that I said or did. And just to preface this for the crowd, I wasn't one of the lunatics that said Larry's racist or he's crazy or he's dumb or this, that, and the other. In fact, I would say over the last 12 months, I think I've dropped the highest super chat contribution on your channel, but I just didn't agree that Lance was going to be traded at the NFL draft deadline. And I was pretty vehement and defense. And you probably don't remember any of this, which
I mean, I do. I mean, I took a lot. You got to remember this.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a lot of heat. And when I said that, I was like, I remember telling Kev, I saw John Lynch speak at the Combine, and I know John Lynch, and I know the Niners. And when he came out and said that, hey, Trey just needs to play. And I knew, and we all knew that Brock had finished the year. And then he's like, and that's the problem. And I was like, oh, okay, now we're in that. It was like 2 sentences into his commentary on Trey. And I knew that they had made an evaluation at the end of the year, because that's what teams do. They do a autopsy of their season, and they make evaluations, and they stick by their evaluations. And you could tell based on the way John was talking that they had made an evaluation, that they were going with Brock, that they didn't want to say anything in any way that would hurt Trey's trade value. But he kind of painted a picture like the same picture I'm sure he painted to opposing GMs. We love the kid. He's a great kid. He's developing. We just have Brock over here, and Trey's got to play, and we got a team that's ready to win now. And so our timeline fits Brock's better than it fits Trey's, and we haven't lost any confidence in Trey at all. That was, I think, the approach they wanted to take. Then Trey kind of looked raw in the preseason, and who knows what the offers were. But, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people confused. I mean, there's nuance to predicting the 49ers are going to trade Trey Lance and that's what what John Lynch and these guys are saying. I know these guys, that's what I'm hearing. And so I had to tell you guys that's what I was hearing. But at the same time, I got where it played like you're wishing for him to fail, or because you picked Brock Purdy to be good early on, that you're just wishing for your opinion to be right. And so you've made up this entire thing against Trey. And the Niners love Trey because they only said that the entire time, right? So all the fans had to believe that they loved him for the most part. But I just didn't feel that. I mean, to me, it showed with their actions more than, watch a person's actions more than their words. People say a lot of things for a lot of reasons, but their actions spoke. And then here came Darnold, and then here came Brandon Allen. And I didn't want to talk about the entire offseason about they're going to trade Trey Lance, but every single thing that they did told me that they were going in that direction. And I thought it would happen at the draft because I just couldn't believe that they would move off of a player that talented for deferred compensation, which is essentially what they did here, right? They gave him to Dallas for deferred compensation next year. But then they also had the Purdy injury and the unknown. And I think there was a competition in camp, but what it was unstated was that Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen were coming in, basically they were going to be the winners of the competition unless Trey truly beat them out on like a huge level. But I don't think it's fair to say it was an even day one competition. It was not. It was a competition that they wanted Sam Darnold to be number 2, and they wanted Brandon Allen to be number 3, and they wanted to commit to Brock Purdy, and they wanted to move down the road from Trey Lance for lots of reasons. Money is a big part of it as well. So I just stated that, and the people just did not. You were not the only person, but there were a lot of people who just came with all kinds of terrible things, all because they thought I was against this kid. And it kind of pissed me off because at the time I was like, hey, wait a second. I was on KMBR the year he was drafted daily saying that I would go with Trey Lance over Mac Jones, over Justin Fields. I was a big Trey Lance fan. So I still believe that Trey Lance is going to get there, but I just think it's a long-term project and they're thinking short-term partially because I think they have to, partially because Jed's pressured them, partially because Brock's here. If Brock wasn't here, they'd probably still be in the long-term, mode of trying to get Trey going as fast as possible. But with Brock here, they get everything. They get the veteran quarterback on the rookie deal, but he plays more like a veteran. So anyway, I'll say this. Don't, if you feel bad about it, don't. It's sports. I'm sure there were some super chats from you that didn't make me happy, or some comments from you that didn't make me happy, but come on, man. Life's too short.
Well, like I said, I like to put a face to it. I don't just talk trash. And also too, it nobody likes to duck waddle back into a situation and have to apologize. But again, I didn't go crazy like a lot. What I saw a lot of the other people did. The only part where I had a difference with your statement was when you kind of settled on a date of like it'll happen on the NFL draft, and I was like, if you would have been like 12 months, he won't be on this team, right? Like something like that, I would have been like, okay, that's something I could have fall behind. But I think one of the big things that you were talking about, right, was one of the reasons why he didn't stay on the team. And I don't want to talk about Lance too long because he's not on the team, and I had some other points that I wanted to hit. But really, the biggest thing that kind of got lost in this was it was going to have to be the locker room that was really picking the quarterbacks. And for whatever reason, I don't know if we'll ever know. And I don't know if we saw something different publicly from Lance than something different. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, and I don't think anybody else does either. But I really do feel and I believe that the locker room gravitated. Lance was playing for quarterback number 2, but the locker room gravitated more to Sam Darnold than they did for Lance. I don't know. I can't prove that. That could be the thing I'm getting flamed right now in chat, but that's just kind of what I believe, because I think Kyle Shanahan tried to put other people in a different kind of like pecking order, and that didn't work out very well. I did kind of want to bring this up with you, Larry, and I'm not sure because, you've actually been in locker rooms. I haven't. And you've seen these guys work, and I just only see them on game days, right? But a lot of people, I think, are, I don't want to say like an uproar, but concerned about the usage of McCaffrey. But in my mind, right, being in the Army and that sort of thing, in my mind, you kind of reward those soldiers who put in all that studious effort, right? All that time studying, all that time preparing. And then also too, these guys like McCaffrey's contract is built and structured in such an order where if he does certain things, right, he's going to get these pay increases or these kind of advances in his contract. We saw it with Sherman. Sherman was injured, but he wanted to play because he had structured and negotiated his own contract, but he needed to do certain things, a certain amount of snaps, right, in order to get that next, like the extra 50,000, 150,000. And so luckily, and that's what these guys are playing for. They're not just playing for to win, but they're also playing for what's structured in their contract. So I want to say these two things. When you're looking at, if you're Kyle Shanahan, right, and you're looking at this, you're going like, holy cow, McCaffrey is tearing up the Steelers. And when I say tearing up the Steelers, I don't just mean to the tune of 159 rushing yards, right? That first touchdown to Brandon Ayuk, Burford got burned so bad. It's egregious. And when you look at it, McCaffrey had a Frank Gore, like Frank Gore when he just stuffed Lance Briggs against the Bears on one of Kaepernick's first games.
Right.
He did that too. He kept Purdy clean and upright. And so like I was almost thinking like you kind of have to keep McCaffrey in there, not only for how he was gashing the Steelers, but also too how he was blocking and the contract. So I just feel like, and I don't know, I could be wrong and misreading this, but it seems like it's kind of a multi-layered thing when we're talking about these players.
Well, there's lots of different ways to go about usage, right? Some coaches like to give a player a whole game and then maybe, come back in a game or two and just be like, oh, not makeup, but maybe if McCaffrey's not feeling 100%, you sit him down and give the whole game to the other backs. I mean, they have what I would call 4 starting caliber running backs: Ty Davis Price, Jordan Mason, McCaffrey, obviously, and Elijah Mitchell. I think in an ideal world, they'd like to go McCaffrey first half, Elijah Mitchell second half. Why? Because Elijah never fumbles. I think he's fumbled once in his career, and he's got a great ability to pick and slide and find the holes inside and maximize every run. But McCaffrey, when you watch the Niners this summer, it's really, really clear that, and to me, it's the theme of the year offensively. Ayuk, Debo, and McCaffrey are on a different level this year. They've got 3 weapons that are all primed for career type years. And so I think you're going to see those 3 guys really carry a lot more of the load than maybe we've seen in the past. I think in the past we've seen Shanahan use, his backs, split him up a little bit. I think it's going to be a lot of McCaffrey. And I think the wide receivers in the past, you've seen, them play their other wide receivers. I think Ayuk's going to have a huge year. Debo's going to have a huge year. These guys are in absolutely incredible shape. So to me, that's the first thing that stood out about the Niners offensively this summer, watching them all summer, was just that those 3 guys are not just going to produce like they've produced in the past. They're going to all produce at a crazy high level. And so that's kind of the theme of the offense. And as far as the theme of the defense and the theme of the roster, I think really what you're going to see this year is that the Niners had so many players, such a high percentage of their 53-man roster on both sides of the ball, really, being first, second, or third-year players. And that's when you get your biggest improvement. So the arrow's pointing up on such a high percentage of their roster that they really don't have anybody who's in that 30 to 35 range outside of Trent Williams, who's kind of in the decline mode. They don't have a declining roster. They have an ascending group of talent. So they're better. Like, it's almost like a mutual fund where every single stock has growth. And then you're like, whoa, look at this growth. And it's like, how'd you get there? Well, you got there on the backs of all these individual, Demo's better, Womack's better, Warner's better, Greenlaw's better, Drake Jackson and Kinlaw better. You go offensive line. Burford had a rough game, but Burford's better, stronger, bigger, smarter. Banks is better. Ayuk is better. Debo's better. When he gets healthy, I think people will see that Danny Gray is better. They've got a lot of players on this team with the arrow pointing up that are getting better. When you have that high a percentage of guys getting better, you can make huge steps as a team. And I think that's going to be the theme this year. 3 special years on offense and the arrow pointing up on such a high percentage of their players. They're going to run through the tape. I really think this is going to be their year. And it's going to be, I really think it's going to be a big year. I don't think it's going to be like a close year. I think they're going to blow out a lot of teams this year.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time, both to you young and senior Krugers, and thank you for answering my questions. Much love and respect. You guys have a good one.
Gammon, have a good night. Appreciate you. There you go. Gammon Brown checking in. And Gammon probably had taken some shots. Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, props to him, but I mean, if he said it himself, like, I wasn't even saying anything bad. It's like, you don't really need to apologize, but I mean, appreciate it. It sounds it says what kind of a guy he is, but
now, you, on the other hand, who called me Larry 3 times on this show, you might get a can of whoop ass.
No,
I mean, you may have to really come correct.
I don't know why. It just feels weird saying dad on here.
Yeah.
Like, dad,
okay. All
dad,
right.
And then I see your name on the screen. It says Larry. I'm like, so Larry.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
What do we got to do before we bolt for the door? Hey, that was fun. A lot of good callers, and we went for 2.5 hours. We were thinking about going for about an hour and a half, so we went an hour longer than I thought we would go. But good stuff, man. To me, I love the Wednesday night caller show because bottom line is fans are fans, and you want to give them an opportunity to have their say. And the cool thing, I got a pretty good idea of what the other streams are going to be. There's no idea what the call-in show is going to be, and I like that. I really like that about it.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to this show this week. It's pretty fun to talk to the fans.
Tom
really
Colby
fun.
says, Kev, you got a big test tomorrow? You look like you need to study. No,
I'm always working.
Kev's always working, but no, he's still on vacation. He's like free as a bird right now. GTC Reels says, wait, where's the Johnny C out? Or Johnny C, as I say, cut?
Should we run the cut one more time?
Yeah, let's run the Johnny C one more time.
All right, let's run the cut.
Let's go to Johnny C.
Let me try, Larry. Okay, so Larry, here's the deal. Larry, honestly, Larry. No, but Larry, I gripe here though, Larry. Here, Larry.
And now
Larry. I mean, Larry, but here's the thing, Larry.
What do you think?
I think they're going to sign Jason Peters.
How old is he?
He's 40, but and Larry, much Larry. I mean, Larry, I wish I could, Larry.
Johnny, we're going to have to jump. He said Larry over 20 times just in that right there. Oh, that was Bomber T says legendary. MF says but Larry.
Maybe I should make should I make a highlight tape of every call-in show and then just play it the next call-in show?
That would be awesome. That would be
I could get the
awesome.
I could get Michael saying like Purdy's the best quarterback in NFL, and then Michael or then Mr. Blue going crazy about it. Like we can make.
You couldn't just go with it. You couldn't just go with it and say, what? Yeah, Purdy is pretty good.
I had to push back.
Michael made a good argument though. He made a good argument.
Hey, wait, one thing I want to promote is everyone check out Mojo Fantasy in the description and sign up, use promo code Krug. It'd really help us. We know some of the people over at Mojo, and we're really trying to help their app get off the ground. It's a fantasy sports app. Larry. Oh, my dad uses it all the time.
Fucking grounded. This kid's fucking grounded. Does anybody want a teenager?
No, but really a teenager, I'm not a teenager. But
does anybody
21.
want a young adult who still lives in the house?
But check out Mojo Fantasy. Check out Mojo Fantasy.
I'll drop them off on your doorstep. You can have them. Dusty Gold says mute.
Promo code Krug. So
there you go. Yes. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Check out Mojo. Thanks to Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030. Thanks to New York Style Italian Sausage. Best Italian sausage there is new. We had it tonight for dinner. How was your sausage tonight? Spicy. Spicy. I might go have another one. Ooh.
Yeah, I know you will.
Stop. Okay, so also thanks to Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. It is phenomenal barbecue. What was I going to say? Oh, the schedule. I wanted to let people know about the schedule for the week, what we got cooking the rest of the week. So today is our Wednesday extravaganza. Tomorrow on the show, I'll be down in Niner Camp tomorrow at, I think 1 p.m. is practice. 1 p.m. practice. After practice, we're going to talk to Steve Wilkes. We're going to talk to Chris Forster, and we're going to talk to Brock Purdy. Then the locker room's going to open. By the way, I did some interviews today in the locker room that are pretty cool. Are those up on YouTube right now, Kev?
None of them. 3 of the 5 are up. The only ones that aren't up are Brendel and Moody, and those will go out tomorrow.
Okay, so Ray McLeod is up, Fred Warner up, and Javon Hargrave. So check that out. I talked to those 3 guys today in the locker room. But then tomorrow we'll be down in Santa Clara again, and then tomorrow at 6:30 on the Vish Kumaran channel will be the big show. Jesse, myself, and Vish. And I apologize to Jesse. Kev, I told everybody that Jesse picked that Jesse and Vish said that Pickett was better than Purdy. It was just Vish who said that Pickett was better than Purdy. And then Jesse didn't say that. Jesse said that Purdy was better than Pickett. So, and I said it on Grant's show, and I said it I think the next day with Hammer. So I've been saying it all week. Jesse says that Pickett's better than Purdy. Jesse did not say that Pickett was better than Purdy, but Vish did. Vish said that Pickett was better than Purdy.
So everyone go yell at Vish.
Everybody just go to Vish's channel and just crap on Vish.
That's the point.
Dunk on Vish.
Yeah.
Damn it, Vish.
We were wrong about Jesse.
We were wrong about Jesse. Jesse's still very much a Purdy supporter.
Sorry.
Vish, though,
Vish was wrong.
Vish is a freaking idiot. He took Pickett over Purdy. Idiot. No, I'm just joking. Vish, we love you. But join me and Vish and Jesse tomorrow on the Vish Kumaran extravaganza. That's at 6:30. And then Friday, Jack Hammer's going to be in the house for our dual show at 11 a.m. And we're also going to have some Rams people on the show on Fridays. I'm going to try to get some Rams media people to come on. We'll do some Rams live streams on Friday. Saturday, the coach is going to stop by at 9 a.m. We'll look ahead to Niners-Rams. And then Sunday, Niners-Rams, 1 o'clock start, and then the postgame. JD's already told me that he's going to stop by. Maybe Danny and Rye, we'll see. Definitely Baller will be in the house. Kev is scheduled to be there, but he's going to have to get some equipment because he's going to be on the road in Cal Poly.
I figured that out
Did
today.
you?
I should be good. Barring setbacks.
There you go. So then Kev will join us for the Niner Ram post game. I'm going to say I've predicted a bunch of different things, but I'm going to say I like the Niners big. I'm saying 31, 31-13 Niners. What do you think?
31-13. So what is that? They win by 24? 31-13.
31-13?
No,
24.
they won by 18.
Yeah, 18. Almost 3 touchdowns. 31-21 I could see. I think the Niners are going to score right around 30. They may not score like 40 because it may be the Rams run the ball with some success.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
That's going to take it. I think the Rams will eventually stall against this Niner D.
I'm going to go 28-24 Niners win. I think it's going to be. I mean, even that's kind of a high scoring game. I guess I would either.
J-Dub says 69-0.
It's either going to be 28-24 or it's going to be like 21-17 or something like that. I think it's going to be close. I think it's a divisional game. You're on the road. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Niners are.
People are just firing away their scores here. Here we go. Mountain Cat 41-10. Johnny says 34-17 Niners. 1-4 Ace Windu 37-17. J-Dubs is 69-0.
That makes sense.
TZ 34-17. Mick E says 31-24. What else? Always Drip saying 35-17. Josh, good to see you. 20-17. JJ 35-21. Bay Marin 31-13. Now that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Jordy in the house is 35-3. 69ers go for the win.
I mean, at that point, why are you even throwing in the 3? Might as well just go with the 0, right? I mean,
Bomber T in the house. What's up, Bomber? 27-6. 27-6.
I like MF's score 3-0.
Where's that?
I just put it up. That would be fun. That'd be a fun game.
3-0?
Yeah.
Brebbia. They going to Niners go to Brebbia in the 4th?
Yeah, seriously. What is this, a Giants game?
Let's see. James Dunlop says 41-14. Big Money Music says 34-10. Caesar just says fire. There you go. It's good.
There's going to be a fire 38-17. In SoFi. He's predicting
What's that?
He's predicting a fire in SoFi. No, okay.
WTM does 33.16. This is really good. This is really high quality stuff. 28.12 from Soul Certified. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an exciting game.
Raphael, we got to get Raphael in the house. 31.13. He's there with me. Caesar says 23.13. All right, we got a good handle on the group. So, Kev, anything else we want to mention before we bolt for the door? Go check out the store, right? Go check out the store. We got a lot of merch going at the store. Check that out. I'm looking forward to that. Anything else you want to promote here before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just everyone. It would make my day if you guys just check out those links in the description. The link tree's in there. It has all of our socials. We have our new audio podcasts out, and our Mojo Fantasy. Check out Mojo Fantasy and make sure you use promo code Krug, and play some Mojo Fantasy and tell me how you like it. Tell us how you like it. It'd really help us out.
Kid, you're doing a good job. Doing a good job managing me and keeping me in.
It's a tough job. I can't. It's hard to deal with you sometimes. No, I'm kidding.
It's a very tough job. All right, guys, have a great night. Once again, we're down in Santa Clara on a big Thursday for the channel. We've had some great support of the channel. By the way, we just eclipsed 23,000. We didn't even talk about that. That's how we used to have a major deal about that. Now we're at 23,000. Wake me when we get to 25. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Jeez, we're just kind of. We used to celebrate every 1,000. Now we went to 22,000. Do we celebrate now? Went to 23,000. Do we celebrate now? When do we get to celebrate again? 25,000?
And we'll have a hell of a celebration.
We'll have a huge party for 25. Tomorrow at practice, I'll be there at 1. And then we'll talk to Wilkes. We'll talk to Forster. We'll talk to Purdy. As I told you before, we'll go into the locker room, 6:30 with Jesse and Vish. Vish, the guy, I cannot believe. Vish says Pickett's better than Purdy? What the hell, Vish?
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, get in.